The penultimate round of the Blancpain Sprint Series is in Misano on the Adriatic coast in Italy. It's a wonderful venue and it could decide the championship. But before we get underway here, let's look back at last time out. Initially in the Algarve it was a slow start for the pole-sitting Bentley, but the grunt of the engine managed to take it back in front of the Audi on the run down towards the first corner. Despite good reactions from Robin Freins, he couldn't take the lead, and it was Maximilian Buch who led the way into turn one. Up into third place went Markus Winkelhock in the Phoenix Racing Audi. And then in fourth position was the 333 Ferrari of Marco Seefried. And that was the view from the back of Seefried's car as it got very busy down at turn 3. The top two started to pull clear whilst they were still fighting down in the lower reaches. A great start from the 77 BMW of Valdeno Brito saw him climb up from the back of the grid. It was side by side between Enzo Ede and Sean Walkinshaw. Walkinshaw in the Nissan making the move stick. James Nash came in a lap early to Frank Stifler's frustration. When the pit stop window opened, everybody except the race-leading Bentley decided to come in. By keeping out on the clear track and avoiding the carnage in the pit lane, Bentley thought they'd have an advantage. The number one WRT Audi, though, had a clean stop, so it was going to be game on for the lead of the race. Meanwhile, Nicky Katzberg was sent spinning by Valdeno Brito. Frustration for Katzberg as he had to try and work his way back up the order again. After getting held up at pit entry and then a slow pit stop, the HTP Bentley was shuffled down to fourth position, the Phoenix Audi in second, and the 333 Rinaldi running in third position. Vincent Abril was desperate to try and get past to take the final spot on the podium, but they couldn't stop the Ferrari or the championship leaders Robin Freins and Laurens Vanthoor from taking victory in the Algarve. They extend their championship advantage. A superb second place for Markus Winkelhock and Nicky Meyer-Melnoff, whilst it was the 333 Rinaldi Ferrari that finished third across the line. Delight for Vanthoor and Freins, champagne for them, and a bigger championship lead. The 77 Brazilian BMW of Valdeno Brito and Attila Abreu has kind of slipped out of championship contention, but the Zero car will be hoping for a strong weekend as well. Sergio Jimenez and Caca Bueno haven't had the best of seasons so far, but Bueno is confident. He now knows the strengths and weaknesses of this BMW and is hoping for a better weekend here in Misano.
We had a little problem with the speed, the top speed. The car in the big circuit is not so good in the top speed. We lost time, especially in the qualifying. And when you start in the back of the pack, probably yes, you'll not go so well. But car in the race is very good. Now the track don't have big straights. We hope go a little bit better than last couple of races.
It's a big weekend for the WRT Belgian Audi Club here in Misano. They could wrap up the Drivers' Championship if all goes to plan. The number 2 car of Enzo Ede and Christopher Mies isn't in the title fight, but they've been showing good pace all season and they'll be hoping to be one of the front runners. But in the number 1 car, it is Laurens Vanthoor and Robin Freins who can take the title this weekend. They're 26 points clear of their closest rivals, so a strong result in the main race could see them wrap up the Sprint Series title. They've been strong at every track this season, and Vanthoor is confident that they can get the job done here at the penultimate weekend of the championship in Misano.
We're in a pretty luxury position. So 2 weekends to go in the GT Championship and the Sprint, but we can already secure both championships here. It's not our main goal. We try and work as we always do, the best way possible, and see what comes. But if we could achieve those 2 championships already here, it would take a bit of the pressure away for next week.
The Grasser team returned to the Sprint Series this weekend with 2 Lamborghini Huracans. In the 19 car, it'll be the champions from last year's Blancpain Super Trofeo. Jeroen Mull won the Pro class, Alberto Di Folco won the Pro-Am, while in the 63 car, Lamborghini factory driver Mirko Bortolotti is joined by this year's Super Trofeo champion, Patrick Kujala.
The level is much higher. People with much more experience, so I expect to be tougher. But it's any other race, so I go there and try my best and let's see what happens. Conditions will be the same for everybody, so it doesn't matter if it's rain or dry. I go out and do my best.
The 84 HTP Bentley is the other car in the title fight. In the 83 machine in the Silver Cup class, it'll be Jules Simkowiak and Max van Splunteren once again, and they'll be hoping to continue their impressive form so far this year. But it's the 84 car that is in the championship fight. Vincent Abril and Maximilian Buch. Bouk missed out on the Sprint Series title last year because he had to miss one race, so it went to his teammate Maximilian Goetz. This season he's determined to wrap up the championship, and he knows what he's got to do.
Winning both main races, plus qualifying race, plus being on pole in both races, and need a bit of luck that maybe the #1 Audi is having a bad weekend, or maybe they retire. We first have to win it, and it's hard enough to win the race in the Sprint Series, and for sure also the main race. But we will fight it until the end, until it's not possible anymore.
GT Russian team enjoyed a strong weekend last time out in the Algarve. Alexei Vasiliev and Marco Asma in the 71 car managed their best result of the season so far, finishing the main race in 9th position. And they're going to be in the battle for the championship as well, because leading it at the moment is their teammate Alexei Karachev, who's in the 70 car alongside Christophe Bouchou, is the man at the top of the Pro-Am standings. Karachev has had a number of co-drivers this season, including Bernd Schneider. That's why he's out alone at the top of the standings. But for him, the focus isn't just on Pro-Am, even though he can wrap up the title this weekend. He wants to continue to improve and get further up the order.
Oh no, as you saw from the previous races, if I have a good setup, I always try to get in top 10 and to show good result in overall. If you could see a race in Moscow or some other good races when we were in top 10, so it's always a race between all the cars, not only our class. But of course, in our class it's also important. But the main goal is to look forward, you know, to get ready for overall racing.
The always evolving motorsport Nissan of Craig Dolby and Sean Walkinshaw are coming off the back of a superb weekend in the Blancpain Endurance Series last time out at Nürburgring. They were leading the race in the early stages before pit stop problems put them further back down the order. They also had a strong run in the Sprint Series in Algarve, so there's hope among the pairing that they can have a good weekend. But this weekend may well end up being weather dependent, and if that does happen, then Dolby is feeling confident.
Being British, you know, we're used to the wet weather. I think it'll be interesting in the evening on the Saturday night race in the rain, because you know, with the floodlights on, it could look quite special with all the spray. Probably tricky for us drivers, but you know, at the end of the day, we're a show, and it'll make it even more interesting. But the car always handles well in the wet, and I'm looking forward to anything that's thrown at me this weekend.
So it's time for the qualifying race for the penultimate round of the Blancpain Sprint Series here in Misano. It's a night race, as you can see. It's about 8:30 local time here. The night has drawn in, the floodlights are on, and we are very much looking forward to this action, which is going to be fantastic for a few reasons, one of which, John, is the circuit.
Yes, the Misano circuit. We've got 16 turns, 4.2 kilometers. For the slightly longer version, there's a MotoGP version, which is a couple of 100 meters less, 3 sectors. Start finish into turns 1 and 2. Watch out for turn 2, because that's where the pinch point will occur on the opening lap.
Let's have a look at the grid. Seidler and Dolby on the front row, Ferrari versus Nissan. Watch out for the fast starting Vincent Abril. He's going to be starting in 4th place on the grid, just behind Stefan Rakelmi in the first of the Audis. Then it's Christopher Mies and Nick Katzberg on the 3rd row of the grid. Watch out for Katzberg as well, very quick racer. Marcus Winkelhock in 7th place. We've got 2 Lamborghini Huracans here this weekend. Mirko Bortolotti starts the first of them in 8th, just ahead of Jeroen Mull in 9th. Vardeno Brito completing the top 10 in the first of the BMWs. Sergio Jimenez will start right up behind him in 11th place. Then it's Laurens Van Thor, who, well, he was classified 12th, but he will be starting from the pit lane. So then we've got Simkoviak and Bouchou in 15th and 16th positions, and this 18-car grid will be completed by Anders Fjordbak, but as I say, that grid showed Van Thor in 12th place. He will be starting from the pits. We're about to go racing for the qualifying race here in Misano. On pole position, it's the 333 Rinaldi Ferrari, Norbert Seidler at the wheel. Alongside him is Craig Dolby in the Nissan. Watch out for Vincent Abril. He starts 4th on the grid. Rakelmi is in 3rd in the WRT Audi. Wait for the lights to go out, and then the races go. On board we go with Jimenez, who gets a very good start on the run down towards the first corner. But what's happening for the lead as they come down into turn 1? It's the Ferrari who leads. Up into 2nd place is still the Nissan. The Bentley's got through into 3rd position. So Seidler holds the lead. Rakelmi's been shuffled well back as we go back on board with Jimenez, coming through the long right-hander that takes us through towards turn 3, and then down towards 4 and 5, onto the brakes. And there you can see there's Rakelmi. Look, he's way back in the pack now, just in front of Jimenez. So he's lost an awful lot of ground on that opening lap, but it's Ferrari who holds the lead.
We got a good start to get the Ferrari into turn one, clear of the rest of the field. The Bentley with Vincent Abril looking threatening on the Nissan in second place.
And there was an attack from the Lamborghini Huracan of Mirko Bortolotti. He's going up the inside and going past the Lamborghini Gallardo, which is in the hands of Nick Katzberg. So Bortolotti, who started in 8th place on the grid, is now up into 4th position. So good start from the Italian at his home event. So here's a look at the start again then as they come out of the final corner. The man to watch out for is that Audi on the right hand side there, Stefan Rakelmi, because and Christopher Meeks too actually. They were nose to tail in 3rd and 5th positions, but for somehow they lost an awful lot of places, trying to keep an eye on the inside here, and they just get bunched out at the start, don't they?
I think they're shuffled. It's difficult to read the headlights coming into the turn one, so it all goes into a sort of a light out, but they appear just to get shuffled backwards. And the Bentley, certainly the Bentley was very forceful, as was Nicky Katzberg, who in fact was right under the tail of the Bentley, and then Bertolotti, he got up along and passed the Gallardo in the Huracan.
Well, this will tell us because this is looking back from the race leading car. So that behind us there is Stefan Rakelmi. He just gets past on the brakes, doesn't he? Around the outside going into turn one. So that's where Rakelmi dropped back some places. 51.5 minutes to go. Seidler's lead is up to 1.1 seconds now then. This meanwhile looks like it's going to be Christopher Meeks getting past Marcus Winkelhock as they come up into their hairpin, and Meeks had closed right up to the back of Winkelhock, who in turn was trying to attack the car in front. Side by side, Meeks going around the outside at turn 6 and manages to do so. So good move there from Christopher Meeks. You just wonder if that may come under investigation because he went off the circuit in making that manoeuvre potentially. Christopher Meeks is on a mission. Look at him going up the inside there of Marco Bononomi, the other Italian driver, and he goes through. So Christopher Meeks up into 9th position, and Bononomi tries to fight back. Meeks gives him a little squeeze, but he's got the job done. So now there's Laurens Vanthoor. We're on board with him. He's up to 13th position now, and I think points are a little optimistic, but you want to be as high up the grid as possible for the race tomorrow.
It's more about track position. I mean, if he can get into the top 6 before this race ends, he'll take it, believe me. And that a top 6 position will put him onto the front 3 rows of the grid, which would be a pretty great result, having to start from the pit lane.
Absolutely. So here he comes through turn 6. Big stall. This is easy. There we go. Up the inside. He's got a much better run. Oh, it's not that easy because he's been a little bit nudged onto the grass, and there's contact, and off goes Laurens Vanthoor. Big accident, and the Bentley has been collected in that as well, and the Bentley's gone off the circuit of Jules Simkowiak.
Well, there is Simkowiak under the Bentley.
There's Laurens Vanthoor out of the car. Fantastic, but it's fantastic to see him getting out of the car. He's taken a hit on his left ankle,
and that's going to hurt, believe me.
But great to see Laurens Vanthoor climbing out of the car. Obviously, it's great to see him okay. That has big championship implications, though.
Totally.
Because that will be them potentially done for the weekend. So, not the way we wanted this championship battle to unfold.
So let's look again now.
See, I think he gets 2 nudges here, but we'll wait and see.
Goes down on the left-hand side. This is coming down, and then he comes across. In fairness, he comes back across. Heavy impact on the driver's side. Wheels, bodywork, shed. The Bentley, it's somewhere in there as well. Wheels going across the racetrack. You can see the left front wheel, and something sparking. I mean, that's
the Bentley.
Heavy damage.
This is on board with Vanthoor.
Watch again and see. So this is out of turn 6, coming down. There's a kink at turn 7. Vanthoor's got the momentum. He goes down the inside, and then he appears to go out again to the middle of the track, and that's where they contact. So maybe Simkowiak didn't squeeze quite as much as it looked.
Into the pits comes the safety car after that accident for Laurens Vanthoor, and racing gets underway with 35 minutes to go. Norbert Seidler leads, Dolby is second, third is Vincent Abril, but Mirko Bortolotti in the Lamborghini has got a great run coming off the final corner. He's not going to be close enough for a look on the run down into turn 1, I don't think. It's side by side further back though as they come into the first corner. I didn't quite catch who it was. I think it might have been Christopher Meeks trying to get past Valdeno Brito, but this is the battle for 3rd position then. As we come down, Bortolotti darts to the inside line. Still not close enough, but he's just trying to distract Vincent Abril, and he'll be frustrated because he can see the 2 leaders getting away.
Yeah, I mean the Lamborghini clearly in the first sector of the racetrack quicker than the Bentley, wants to get ahead of the Bentley, doesn't want to let the Nissan and the Ferrari first and second.
Oh, he's going for it up the inside. Very late move across from Abril though, and he holds on to the position for the time being. The Lamborghini's got good drive, not quite enough. On board we go with him again as he closes down on Vincent Abril in front, and there's the sort of dust and cement that's coming up from the damage earlier on.
Yeah, the Lamborghini certainly closed down the Bentley a lot under braking. Of course, it stretches back out again as the Bentley accelerates that a little bit earlier. But nonetheless, the Lamborghini is showing very strong pace in the first and third sectors of the circuit.
In comes, I think that was Stefan Rakelmi coming into the pits now from 6th position. Vincent Abril has just set the fastest final sector of anyone, so he was certainly feeling the need to push.
Was Christopher Mies.
Okay, so no, it was Rakelmi who's come in. So he will be heading back out onto the circuit once he's handed over to Stefan Ortelli. Rakelmi, I think, will be a bit frustrated with how that first stint went for him, considering he started in 3rd place on the grid. He was running well down the order. Well, not well down the order. He was in, 6th position, but nevertheless, it's lower than 3rd. Half an hour to go, halfway through this race that's been interrupted by a big crash for Laurens Vanthoor. He is out and about and out of the car, but limping a little on his left leg. So any time we have information on that, we'll bring it to you. But this is our race leader, Norbert Siedler, in the 333 Rinaldi Ferrari. Craig Dolby is behind in the Nissan. Then it's this battle between that car in front, the HTP Bentley of Vincent Abril, the car that has a real chance now of making some serious inroads into the championship advantage of the #1 car, and he is under pressure from the car we're on board with here, Mirko Bortolotti in the Grasser Racing Lamborghini Huracan. Into the pits now, I think comes the Phoenix Audi, and also Alexei Karachev coming in. Well, it's Christoph Boucher at the wheel to come in to hand over to Alexei Karachev, and yes, it is Winkelhock in the pits. So we've got a warning flag for cars 70 and 88 for track limits. So that's Christoph Boucher, so he's well down the order at the moment. But 88 is Nicky Katzberg, who's running in 5th place, so he'll want to take heed of that.
Yeah, well, Nicky Katzberg, he's fighting for that 4th place right now, and obviously he's using a little bit too much of the track. I suspect it's all down in the apex of turn 6, using a little bit too much of the inside of the corner. We see the exit of turn 6, so cars are allowed to run wide. There's the battle for 3rd place. The Lamborghini again really runs up to the back of the Bentley into turn 8. Again, the Bentley, just that little bit of initial squirt off the corner, gives Vincent Abril the momentary breathing space he needs.
Towards the final corner comes the race leaders in. Dolby from 2nd place, in from 3rd place, Vincent Abril. So this is the chance for Bortolotti to put a lap in and see what he can do.
Yeah, but he's only got just under 2 minutes, one more lap, so he's going to have to pretty much come in at the end of the next lap, so he can maybe make up half a second or more on this lap. As we see the Bentley coming in from 3rd place.
Behind we also saw Nicky Katzberg under a lot of pressure from Christopher Mies in their battle, but in comes Dolby.
This is the important stop for the Nissan team. They've got to make this driver change, the wheels change, and Sean Walkinshaw just has to reassess or readjust the belts that have been released by Craig Dolby. So it looks like the door problem with the Bentley. That's been closed. That looks fine. Oh, what's going on here? So
a little bit of a go, don't go.
Maxi Brook's going to overtake 2nd place. He's going to pass the Nissan.
Yeah, it's a slow stop for the Nissan. Problem for the left front. And they're having to try a different nut. What a shame.
Nightmare. All the work that they did prior to this event, practice, left front. What a nightmare.
When it matters.
I mean, they've given up podium position for certain.
Absolutely. But I'm also interested about, there's a bit of an interesting chat here, because the Bentley may have departed before the mechanics were back behind the line. That's my concern there. We'll have to wait and see. There's Craig Dolby storming out to the back of the garage. Siedler and Bortolotti both in the pits then. Here they are nose to tail. The Grasser team know how to do this. They do it in the Blancpain Endurance Series. They did it in the Sprint Series last year. So this is going to be very interesting. In comes Bortolotti. He's going to be handing over to Patrick Kujala.
Well, if there is a penalty for the Bentley, as you maybe rightly identified, then that could be the winning car, either the Ferrari or the Lamborghini. But the Grasser team have got maybe slightly more experience with doing these pit stops, doing them in endurance races. So driver Joe, look, he's pumped. Look at Bob, he is pumped.
Absolutely. Away goes the Ferrari.
Good stop.
Very
good stop.
swift.
Very good indeed for the Ferrari team. That's Rinaldi Racing did a good job. Get their driver and car critically ahead of the Lamborghini.
Well, let's see what happens with the Bentley then. It's coming up to the final corner now. Maximilian Buch at the wheel of this HTP car. It looked like they had a slow pit stop, problems getting away, and as a result, where are they going to come out in this battle? There is the potentially race leader. The pit exit goes all the way around the first two corners. Out goes the Ferrari, comfortably back in the lead, and comfortably second place now for the Lamborghini. Third place heading out of there is Enzo Ede, I think, in the number 2 WRT Audi. Yes, so Enzo Ede up into third place. So that's the order. 333 Ferrari of Marco Seefried. Second place Patrick Kujala in the Grasser Racing Lamborghini. Third Enzo Ede in the WRT Audi. Fourth now Maximilian Buch in the HTP Bentley.
Maximilian Buch is going to be, he needs to be aggressive, he needs to get on with the program. This is down at the end of the back straight. So into turns, look at the headlights, absolutely burning a hole in the back of the Audi. So strong are the lights out of turn 14. Then the short sprint up to the tighter turn 15, then nothing really you can do. It's all about preparation for the exit of 16. A good run is necessary. Get the drive. He's got a set of tyres that are warmer, they're 1 lap warmer than the Audi. Watch to make the cut. Enzo Ede stays on the right hand side to make the Bentley go the long way round. Ede will be late in the brakes as possible. Sweeps through, great pass. Good driving by Enzo Ede. Recognised the situation, could have made a mess of it, but didn't.
So here's a look at the Bentley pit stop. So now they didn't shut the door. The tyres and wheels are there. And then they send him away before the tyre man's gone.
He stops.
And then they say wait, but then he says go.
And he's still out of position.
And then you see, look, the team manager, furious.
Absolutely.
So, this is the recovering Nissan, isn't it then? So that's Sean Walkinshaw, who's managed to get past now. Oh, he's pulling over. Oh, no, he's not. It was a dart up the inside, wasn't it? But that was Walkinshaw battling with the likes of Vasiliev and Jeroen Mul.
Yeah, this car was challenging for the lead before the pit stops, now all the way back down to 13th place because of the left front wheel, which for whatever reason the wheel nut or the wheel nut and gun wouldn't do the job it was meant to do. And what a disappointment for a team that is improving very, very quickly indeed. Got the performance front row of the grid for starting, run strong second, and then to lose it in the pit stop.
So on board with Walkinshaw. He's up to 12th now, so that was them getting past Thomas Fjordbach. Both Jeroen Mul in front of him and Walkinshaw himself managed to get past Thomas Fjordbach.
Tell you what, he's gone down the inside, he's going to go into turn 13. Very, very tight indeed.
Now we've just had message from race control that the pit stop for car 84, Maximilian Buch and Vincent Abrel, is under investigation. A bit of a twitchy moment there in front. It's Jeroen Mul, who was the Lamborghini Super Trofeo champion of last season, and as a result got picked up by the Lamborghini Squadra Corsa squad. Squadra Corsa squad, that's something to say, isn't it? As they come across the line.
Look at the glow from those brakes. That is a mighty big disc in the front of the Bentley, and it's glowing cherry red.
We've had a drive-through penalty for car 6, which is Nicky Mermanoff, for not respecting the track limits. He'd had a final warning and hasn't heeded it. So this is Sean Walkinshaw, who's managed to finally get past Jeroen Mul up at the hairpin. So that's Walkinshaw with Mul fighting back. No, I think the job's done now for Walkinshaw. He holds on to 11th place, and he's now just behind Albert Von Turn and Taxis in the battle for 10th position.
Yellow flag. Oh,
there it is.
Oh,
it's Alberto Di Folco who has ended up in the gravel bed. 4.5 minutes to go. Seefried now has a 1.5 second advantage up at the front. Max Buch is going to push. But how fussed will he be to get past Kujalo? It's an extra 2 points in the championship. It's a front row start instead of a second row start, but in the grand scheme of things, you just got to keep finishing, haven't you?
Well, the key will be, obviously, second place is better than finishing at third, but the risk involved with just 4 minutes remaining, you could end up having contact damage to your car. You could end up going out of the race in literally the closing minutes. So Max Buch, I think, has now conceded that second place. He's backed away from the back of the Lamborghini, and he's going to take currently a third place, assuming that whatever was going on under investigation with the team manager having to go upstairs to see race director doesn't come into play as well.
There's a very nervous Gottfried Grasser trying to hold on to that second position. But yeah, a 4th and a 5th to start the season in Nogaro. Brands Hatch was a weekend to forget. And we've just been informed, car 84, HDP Bentley, Maximilian Buch, a drive-through penalty for that pit stop infringement, not having the men back behind the white line before you let the car go. And that's safety grounds. You don't want men working around the car as it pulls off.
Maximilian Buch might feel aggrieved, but it is a team sport. You've got to take it. Sometimes the driver makes the error, sometimes the pits. In this occasion, it was the pit made the error.
So we'll see what happens, whether they actually make the pit stop. If they don't, then they might just be offered a 30-second time penalty, which would put them down in 8th position. And there's Walkinshaw going past Albert von Turnen Taxis. So Sean Walkinshaw makes up another place, and he's now up into the top 10, which isn't ideal, obviously, considering they were in the battle for the lead of the race earlier on. But in terms of the grand scheme of things, Walkinshaw's recovered well. Final lap for Marco Seefried and Norbert Siedler here in Misano. What an entertaining, action-packed evening night race this has been. A horrible crash for Laurence Van Thor, which brought out the safety car in the middle part of the race, and off there goes Alexei Vasiliev into the gravel trap. That's down at the hairpin. He's ended up a long way in there. But here towards the final corner comes Marco Seefried. He and Norbert Siedler are going to see the checkered flag first for the first time in the Blancpain Sprint Series. Victory for Siedler and Seefried. Delight for Rinaldi. They're over the moon. It's second place for that team, the Grasser Racing Lamborghini squad. Gottfried Grasser there on the left-hand side, Mirko Bortolotti on the right. And he has a wonderful performance in a second place. Buch crosses the line in 3rd, but that 84 Bentley, we believe, is going to be given a 30-second time penalty. It's nose to tail for what will be 4th place across the line, and it's just Attila Abreu who holds it in front of Stefan Ortelli. Then we've got Bueno, Nash. Walkinshaw is going to finish in 9th position, so he managed to get past Albert von Turnen Taxis as well. James Nash finishes in 8th place, and Buch did just enough to finish ahead of Nash, so he'll start 7th on the grid tomorrow, Maximilian Buch. So let's hear now from our race winners, Marco Seefried and Norbert Siedler.
Norbert started on pole, never really challenged, great pit stop. Marco wins for you.
Yeah, it's great. Everybody did a great job. Mechanics, Marco did a great job. The car was awesome today, and yeah, we hope get a good result tomorrow. And yeah, thank you to everybody. Finally, we won a race now, and yeah, tomorrow we will push again.
Well, I have to say, you've got great straight line speed. How much of that effect helped today?
Yeah, you have to say great. We always have a good speed on the straight, but in the corners we are slower because we don't have that much downforce than the other cars, because the other cars are new. So yeah, we were fast today and tomorrow as well.
Marco, great finish to the race, under pressure from the Lamborghini and the Bentley. But in the last few laps, that sort of faded away and you had a comfortable victory in the end.
Yeah, I mean, I had sort of a drop of the rear tires like Norbert had. He also replied it on the radio, and I thought, wow, this is now getting really tight. But once I recognized there are 4 headlights behind of me and really close to each other, so I recognized they are in a fight, and then I saw I could pull away a bit again, so without destroying my tires. But it's like Norbert was saying, we're struggling really in aero corners. It's the same as out of slow corners traction-wise. But finally, we don't want to complain. We did it now, and it was time for a win. And yeah, thanks to everybody involved.
Well done.
Thank you.
Here's a look at the results after 35 laps of racing. It is Marco Seefried and Norbert Siedler then who take the victory. Patrick Kugler and Mirko Bortolotti in 2nd place. 3rd for Enzo Ede and Christopher Mies. Not really the kind of result we would have been expecting. Attila Abreu and Valdeno Brito, didn't really see much of them, but they ended up in 4th position. Ortelli and Raquelme in 5th. Then we get to the cars that we were expecting to finish up at the front. Buch and Abril handed a 30-second penalty for a pit stop infringement. Walkinshaw and Dolby lost seconds and seconds in the pits and could have won the race, but now they're in 9th. Then we got von Turnen Taxis and Nicky Katzberg completing the top 10. And 12th place for Meir Manhoff and Winkelhock after they too had a drive-through penalty. Norbert Siedler and Marco Seefried on the top step. Stefano Giannini, the mayor of Misano Adriatico, hands out the trophies on the top step. And what a great performance from the Ferrari drivers. It's the penultimate main race of the season here in Misano. The Blancpain Sprint Series of 2015 is almost coming to a conclusion, but we've still got one more weekend to come up, next weekend in Zandvoort, but first it's the main race here. On pole position is going to be Marco Seefried and Norbert Siedler, the Grasser Racing team alongside them, but the big story in terms of the championship is the retirement of the number 1 car. You can see it's 23.8 degrees, the air temperature, track temperature is at 24.3 degrees, and it's turning into a lovely day. After rain all morning, it looks as though it's going to be a slick start here at this Misano circuit, which has been designed and built back in the late 1960s and early 1970s, and after a big renovation in 2006, the actual direction of the circuit was changed. They now go clockwise around this circuit rather than anti-clockwise, which was originally the case. It's fast, it's got sweeping medium to high speed corners. There's only a couple of really slow speed corners on the circuit, maybe 3, 4.2 kilometers long, 16 corners, and a reasonable amount of undulation as well as you go up and then down. We're just about 5 kilometers from the Adriatic coast here, an hour and a half south of Bologna. So that's the circuit. And as far as the drivers' standings are concerned, well, that's where the action came yesterday. Robin Freins and Laurens van Thor won't be racing here today because of a massive accident for Van Thor yesterday. That means the title can't be wrapped up, and it means that Abril and Buch have got a really good advantage, a really good opportunity to haul themselves back into title contention, because they're 26 points behind at the moment, and a win will give you 25 points. So if they can do that, they'll be right back in the title fight. So the grid is being formed, and John Watson is down on the grid, and he's with Vincent Abril to find out whether they can haul themselves back into title contention. Here's Vincent Abril.
Vincent Abril, a pit stop infringement last night, major opportunity lost.
Yeah, for sure. When you look at the circumstances of the race, it was not the best scenario, but if we had drama, we'd rather have it yesterday than today, because today we scored some big points. And yeah, our main opponent is out of the race today, so there's some big points to catch, for sure.
All right, you got Max in the car. What have you told the Max man to do?
He's a big guy, even though he's not that tall. He's really great racing driver, so he knows what to do. We've been taking great starts this season, so I think the main thing is going to get a clean getaway, no trouble, get a straight car for the pit stop, and then push in the end like we always do.
Well, as they say, the only way is forward. Have a good one.
Exactly. Thanks, John.
So Vincent Abril, who his teammate Maximilian Buch will be starting the car then, and you can see some of the high-end machines that we've got at the front of the field. The new Aston Martin Vulcan there lining up at the front. We've got Maseratis, got a few Lamborghinis as well. But then we get on to the real race cars. On pole position then is that Rinaldi Racing Ferrari of Marco Seefried and Norbert Siedler, as the Italian national anthem is played out over the public address. And there's Vincent Voss, the man in charge of the WRT Audi team, just wishing some luck to Norbert Siedler and Marco Seefried. It'll be Seefried starting the car, Siedler the man that Voss in the flat cap is talking to there. And now John has found Attila Abreu, who's going to be starting in 4th place on the grid. And what can the BMW Team Brazil car do?
Attila starting in the 2nd row of the grid. You're back at the races, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, yesterday we qualified P10, had a good qualifying race, finished 4th. The car looks good. We had the problem in the straights still, but the corners the car are really balanced. So we are quite confident to fight for a podium today. Let's see the pace of the car and also the other competitors. We are quite strong in the pit stop, so let's make a good job, good start, have a good pace, and try to in the pit stops to win some positions to fight for the podium.
Sounds like you got victory in your head already.
Not the victory. I mean, the victory is quite difficult. I mean, the guys in front, they are really fast. But no, it's race. Everything can happen. So we cross our fingers to have the first Brazilian victory here in Italy. The country that really looks like Brazil. You know, everybody is happy. They speak very loud and everything. So it will be a good place to win. Let's try.
We'll bring the Caipirinhas on for that one. Many thanks.
Thank you. Caipirinha is really good.
Okay, well, hopefully John doesn't have any before he gets up here. Well, actually, maybe it would be an improvement. So he heads off to find someone else to chat to, as you see Abril and Panis there walking down towards the front of the grid. There is the 63 car that's going to be starting in second place on the grid. Patrick Kujala will be at the wheel, the Lamborghini Blancpain Super Trofeo champion of this season. And it really was impressive stuff from him yesterday. Third on the grid is going to be Enzo Eid, who will be starting the number 2 Belgian Audi Club car.
Enzo, I don't want to put you under pressure. You should be in the car right now, but you're going to start the main race.
Yeah, I will start the main race, and okay, we are P3 to start. It's better than in the back, but you never know what happens in the start and in the race. So we will try our best and see in a bit more than 1 hour where we will end.
So what do you think your strengths are going to be for your stint?
I don't know. I think the most important will be to get through the start already and find a good position, and then keep the same pace and go through my stint. Then a good pit stop, and then my teammate will finish the job.
Well, last night, Christopher, you overtook a lot of cars. You're hoping not to have to do the same this afternoon.
Yeah, that's true. Hopefully Enzo can do a good start and keep up with the lead pack. And the boys always do a great pit stop. So the target is to stay with the lead pack, have a good pit stop, come out in the lead, and then just go home.
You're so happy looking. Well done, thank you.
So Enzo Eid and Christopher Mies, third place finish for them in the qualifying race yesterday, which was a very pleasing result for them. It was their best result of the season so far. They had 2 third places in Nogaro at the opening round of the season. There's Stefan Ortelli. Now, Ortelli needs to finish on the podium to still be in with a chance of winning the overall Blancpain GT Series title. If today neither Ortelli or Maximilian Buch finish on the podium, it means that despite their absence, Van Thoren Freyns will win the overall Blancpain GT Series, which is the split between the Sprint Series and the Endurance Series. So Van Thoren Freyns could win that today if Buch and Ortelli don't finish on the podium. But the actual Blancpain Sprint Series title cannot be wrapped up today, as these supercars make their way off the front row of the grid. The ultra cars, and including the Pagani Zonda we've got in there. We've got the, as I say, the Vulcan there on the right hand side, which Darren Turner's driving. We've got the Porsche 918 Spider. There's the other Pagani Hyra as well, the Lamborghini Veneno, and the Ferrari 599X and X, 2 X's, and because it's proper extreme. Now let's hear from Mirko Bortolotti. He had a fantastic drive yesterday, 8th to 2nd. It'll be his teammate Kujala starting the car. He's with John.
Mirko, this is going to be a drag race between the 2 great Italian brands. Who's going to win it?
Lamborghini.
Why?
Well, I hope so. I mean, we showed yesterday that we have a good pace in the race. We definitely have a chance to win this race. It's not going to be decided at the start. If we win the start, it's even better, that's for sure. But if not, it's not going to be a drama. We will try to do it throughout the race, and at the end of the race it counts. So I think that we have a good pace. We have a good base with the car and with the team and everything, and I think we have a chance to win it.
Patrick knows how to win races. He won lots of Lamborghini Super Trofeo races. He only likes clear air ahead of him. Is he going to get clear air or not, do you think, in his stint?
I don't know. It depends on how the start will go. You know, every race is a new story. So let's see what happens. I mean, if we will be leading the race after the first corner, definitely it's going to be easier. But let's see what happens. I think we are in a good shape for this race. Doesn't matter if we win the start or not.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
2011 FIA Formula 2 champion Mirko Bortolotti. There you can see James Nash, who's going to be starting in 8th place on the grid. And well, let's quickly hear from Vincent Voss. He's talking to John Watson after Laurens Vanthoor's crash yesterday.
Vincent, tell us what happened last night, and how is Laurens Vanthoor this morning?
Well, I spoke to Laurens already a few times this morning. He's doing okay for sure. He needs some recovering time. We are not sure that he is able to race in Zandvoort. We will see. We will make some more check before Zandvoort. We don't want to take any risk on that. And yeah, very difficult to judge. Well, I really think that Laurens had the speed to go alongside the Bentley, and the Bentley did not leave him a lot of space. something which is very difficult to judge. I am not able. I think I haven't seen anything yet, everything yet, and I'm not the right guy to have a judgment on that. But for sure, we had a 5 grid penalty for Zandvoort, and one thing is for sure, I really believe that that's not fair.
Taking into account you're not running the #1 car here this afternoon, nevertheless you'll still go to Zandvoort regardless, still in the lead of the championship.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, for sure, and we will have a strong lineup in Zandvoort, and we will be motivated like hell. We will see. Zandvoort always been a track where we've been competitive, but some of the cars are also very competitive, so we'll see. Everything is open.
Thank you, Vincent.
Yeah, Vincent Vos there talking about Laurens van Thor, who had an accident yesterday, and goodness me, look at that! Look at that weather moving in. We could be in for an interesting afternoon of racing. Not quite sure which way the wind's going at the moment, but if those clouds come this way, could be in a bit of trouble. There is the grid then, pole position on the left-hand side. The Ferrari of Rinaldi Racing, the Marshals doing a good job as ever, but not used to segways. There you can see on the left-hand side Enzo Ede. He's going to be starting alongside Attila Abreu. Keep an eye out, as I say, for Ortelli, because he will want to get him into a podium position to keep him with a chance of winning the overall Blancpain GT Series title. There's the main championship car, though, for Maximilian Buch. On the left-hand side, how far up the order can they climb? That's got to be their aim, to take as many points as possible in what is an open goal this afternoon. 26 points is the deficit. You get 25 for a win, 18 for second. Keep an eye out for the Nissan as well in the hands of Sean Walkinshaw. That's a very fast starting car. They were running second yesterday until a problem at the pit stop put them further back. Nicky Manov starting the 6th car. He had to serve a drive-through penalty. And at the back of the field is going to be the GT Russian team car of Alexei Vasiliev and Marco Asma. The other car we lost yesterday was the 83 Bentley, the car that Van Thor came together with, and as a result we don't have them on the grid either, as Stefan Rattel is there at the head of the field, but we don't have them on the grid either, which is a shame for their main sponsors. Their title sponsors brought 68 VIP guests here to see the race today, and the car's not running because it got obliterated in the accident yesterday, and they don't know. Oh, and also Alberto Di Folco there in the pits, so it looks like a pit lane start for that Grasser Racing Lamborghini. Driver's at the wheel, isn't he? So hopefully they will be heading out there, but maybe last minute technical problems for the Grasser Racing team. 15-second board is held aloft, and then the cars will pull away. It'll just be the one formation lap. As the cars get ready now for the start of the penultimate main race of the season. We've been to Nogaro, Brands Hatch, Zolder, Moscow and Algarve, and now just this race, and then next weekend Zandvoort to go. We've got some fast starting cars in the middle of the pack, the likes of the Nissan that's starting in 9th position on the grid, the likes of the Bentley that's starting in 7th position on the grid. They'll be trying to fight their way up the order as quickly as possible. But the battle up at the front is going to be Ferrari versus Lamborghini. Marco Seefried against Patrick Kujala. Enzo Ede and Attila Abreu are on the 2nd row of the grid as they start to try and warm their tyres. Here's a look at the starting grid for the main race. Pole is Marco Seefried in the Ferrari, the Lamborghini of Kujala alongside. Row 2 sees Enzo Ede starting in front of Attila Abreu, the first of the Brazilian BMWs. They are very quick off the starts. Stefan Ortelli 5th. Caca Bueno in the 2nd Brazilian BMW is in 6th spot. Then in 7th place, Maximilian Buch. Championship protagonists, they need to climb as high up the order as they can. James Nash will start 8th. Then Sean Walkinshaw in the quick Nissan alongside Albert von Turnentaxis in the Reiter Engineering Lamborghini Gallardo. The Fjordback brothers will start in 11th place, just ahead of Nicky Manov. Philippe Salaquada will start 13th for the ISR Audi team, ahead of Alexei Kadashev. And then we've got Alexei Vasiliev. Alberto Di Folco will start from the pits, not in 16th position for the Grasser Racing team in their Hurricanes. Van Splunteren won't start, and neither will Robin Freitz. Those last 2 cars eliminated in the crash yesterday.
Well, I think we've got a fully dry racetrack, and having said that, the previous race, the cars, only one ran on slick tyres. It came through to finish second at the end. This track, I mean, surprisingly, 4.2 kilometres, takes a long time to dry out, where normally a racetrack, when you showed any heat or sunlight, within a few minutes it's gone. So interesting to see what it's going to be like, particularly in this opening lap into turn 1, but the pinch point's going to come, as we mentioned last night, into turn 2. And you've got Patrick Kužela, who no doubt is pumped like never before, desperate on the outside of the corner, so he can afford to maybe run fractionally later before he gets on the brakes to try and sweep around the front of the Ferrari. But Norbert Siedler's going to have none of it.
It's going to be very interesting, isn't it? On the run down towards the first corner, Seefried and Siedler took their first win in the Blancpain Sprint Series yesterday, and they'll be hoping to take their first main race victory now. The penultimate race of the Blancpain Sprint Series is about to get underway. The second Lamborghini is in the pits. They'll be starting from there, but the other Lamborghini is on the front row in second position. Patrick Kužela at the wheel. It's Marco Seefried in the Rinaldi Ferrari on pole. Eden Brito on row 2 as this 1 hour race gets underway. An immediate dart from Abreu to the inside line. Can he squeeze through the 2 leaders and take the lead of the race? It's getting very close in there. Very aggressive driving and darty driving. A late look up the inside from Enzo Edu. Slip back down the order, and around the outside goes Kužela, and he leads. What a move from the Lamborghini driver. Seefried drops down to second. Third is Abreu. Up into fourth place has come the Bentley.
Absolutely great start from the fourth row of the grid, but it was going to be all about turn 1. So Patrick Kužela got a slam on the side from the BMW, but recovered and then planted the Lamborghini on the inside of turn 2, got the advantage, has got ahead of the Ferrari, and that's going to be the key for the Lamborghini, because if it can stretch out maybe up to half a second getting onto the back straight after exit at turn 10, then they can consolidate.
Big loser at the first few laps is Enzo Edler, who's right down behind Stefan Ortelli. He's behind the Nissan as well of Sean Walkinshaw. Running out wide there was Albert von Turnen Taxis getting shuffled down, and he's now going side by side with Enzo Ede as they come up to the right-hander of turn 10 that then takes them out onto the back straight. But Patrick Kužela has taken the lead in the Grasser Racing Lamborghini car and is starting to pull away. Second is Seefried, third is Abreu, and Maximilian Buch will be desperate to get past. Great start from Buch, 7th to 4th.
Yeah, I mean, Max Buch has got to get past before he gets to turn 13. He's on the tail of the BMW but can't do anything about it. The Lamborghini has managed to keep the gap between the Ferrari and second place about the same as it was coming onto the straight, but it's Max Buch who's really pushing very hard right now, and Abreu in the BMW currently in that 4th position.
Into the final
position,
into the final corner they come to complete lap 1 then, and it's Patrick Kužela who is leading the way. It's his first ever race weekend in a Lamborghini Huracan. It's his first race weekend in the Blancpain Sprint Series. Yesterday, when they pitted the car and put him in, they were in second position, and the team thought, I mean, I don't really know if he'll be able to hold on to this. It's his first race in the Huracan, you know, and it's such a competitive series. He impressed them all by holding on to that second place.
Yeah, I mean, the GT3 Huracan is a pretty impressive piece of kit. We saw that at Monza, the opening round of Blancpain Enduro, and in the hands of Patrick Kužela, who has been the dominant driver all season at Lamborghini Super Trofeo. You don't win all those races just by being a pretty face. And who said he's a pretty face?
Well, that's up to you, but
not to me.
He's in the lead, and he's 0.6 of a second clear of Marco Seefried at the moment. There's the look from Nicky Melnoff. He's now still with the back of Enzo Ede. Half a second then between the Lamborghini and the Ferrari, and there's the look up the inside. Through goes Maximilian Buch into third place then. Buch up into third. He gets past Attila Abreu coming into this sequence of corners, and a little out of shape there. Nicky Melnoff, and he's going to spin it. Melnoff goes around in the Phoenix Audi. Did he get a tap
he got a tap on the right rear quarter. So there is the battle that was for third place. It's now gone to the Bentley, and the Bentley has the advantage in the straight line speed over the BMWs. That's the area where the BMW really struggles on any circuit with any length of straight. The Ferrari, I thought, had managed to close the gap fractionally as they got up to turn 10, but not able to do anything. So Patrick Kužela, using the Lamborghini strengths, which are principally got great traction and is really strong in the first and third sectors of this lap.
Yeah, well, that's why it looks as though the Ferrari closes in, because he takes half a second out of Kužela in the middle sector on that lap, but then the Lamborghini fights back elsewhere. How quickly can Buch now close in on the lead battle?
Well, we'll have to keep an eye on the respective lap times. Max Buch's last lap was 1:35.2 against a 34.8 for the Seefried and the Ferrari, and he overtook a car in the process. So potentially it's the Ferrari and the Bentley right now are the quicker of the three cars. Having said that, Kujula's just set fastest first sector, now that's gone again. So every corner, every sector, now we're seeing a difference in domination from one of the three brands leading this race.
The Brazilian BMW's in 4th and 5th. Abreu ahead of Caca Bueno, then Stefan Ortelli's in 6th position at the moment. Sean Walkinshaw is 7th. It's 8th for Albert von Turn and Taxis. Enzo Eads gone from 3rd down to 9th. And in 10th place is James Nash, then it's Salaquada, Thomas Fjordbach, Alexei Kadachev, Alexei Vasiliev, and Niki Meyer-Malnov, and it doesn't look as though the other Lamborghini is going to join the race. We're on board with Marco Seefried chasing down the race leader.
Now this is where he's going to have to do everything he can, and the Ferrari, you can see already just fractionally closing to the rear. The Lamborghini now as close as he's been at any point since the lights went out. He's going to make a dive down the inside into turn 13. Is going to be a brave move, nowhere near far enough alongside, but intent, if you can be guilty of intent, that was guilt.
So there you can see into 13, which is a bit more aerodynamic dependent, how much the Lamborghini then pulled away. So it's a fascinating battle between these two, but that will give Seefried confidence to know that he can take the fight to Kujula. Kujula's off towards Bologna, gets it back on the track though.
That was well off the red bit. You're allowed to run the red bit, but anything beyond could be questionable. And now the Ferrari looks to go down the inside into turn 1. That was a slow exit for the Lamborghini. Kujula is now feeling a lot of pressure from Marco Seefried.
The gap was less than 0.2 of a second between them as they crossed the line. Maximilian Buch on that last lap was about 0.4 of a second slower as they get on the brakes into the right-hander of 4, then through 5. This will take them out onto the little stretch, and that Lamborghini is lively in front.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the snap from left to right, the car responding, almost over-responding as the inputs behind the steering wheel. But I'd have to say Marco Seefried really feels that the victory is available to the Ferrari, closer than he's been at any point yet again in this middle part of the circuit, where one might say that the strength goes to the Lamborghini. Again, closes as close as he can, gets on the throttle, tries to keep a slightly tighter line, the Lamborghini wider on the exit. Who's the quicker off the corner? Well, probably difficult to tell, only a stopwatch will do that, but now you see Lamborghini going defensive. Ferrari's going to have to go the long way around the outside if he wants to make this pass, and he's Dalton alongside in 12 into 13. Can he make it stick? Yes, what a pass!
So Marco Seefried takes the lead of the race away from the Lamborghini. Kujula's still in there darting around to try and get a better drive out of the corner, but it's Seefried in the Rinaldi Ferrari who leads the way. Kujula drops down to 2nd position. Great move around the outside. The one question is whether he went over the edge of the track to do it, but whatever happens, it was brave.
It was a very, very committed overtaking, but he got the run off turn 10. That was the key. The Lamborghini was wider on the exit. Ferrari got good drive and used that straight line advantage that the car has. We heard last night that Ferrari has got probably less aero, therefore quicker in the straight. They lose out marginally in the first, third sectors, but there didn't look to be much wrong with the Ferrari on the exit of 10. That's all about traction and getting good drive.
So 53 minutes to go, and it's already kicking off. Marco Seefried in the lead of the race now for the 333 Ferrari team. Now here you see the attack again, and it's around the outside then, coming into turn 11. My only concern here is watch the Ferrari goes well off. Well, he doesn't go that far off actually. Doesn't quite go all the way off the curbs, I don't think, so he'll probably get away with that one. Wonderful move from Marco Seefried. And there was nothing Kujula could do to fight back at that point.
Yes, and in fairness, Kujula, he recognised that the Ferrari has the pace. He also recognised that if he did something, let's say, unsporting, it would have put both cars into a very difficult situation at the quickest part of the racetrack. And there you can see the pace of the Ferrari in the space of one lap has taken it ahead of the Lamborghini by almost a full second. And as Maximilian Buch who's sensing there's an opportunity, the last lap from Kujula was a 36.2, which probably was a part of the reason why the position was lost. This one runs really wide as well, but Maximilian Buch just 1.3 seconds at the start of this lap, and it's going to be probably a bit less than that when they come to the end of this lap.
So this is the three-way train for 5th position now. Caca Bueno is the man leading it for the Brazilian BMW team. Behind him is Stefan Ortelli. Behind him is Sean Walkinshaw in the always evolving Motorsport Nissan as they come down towards turn 1. Bueno's about 3.5 seconds back from his teammate Attila Abreu, so he hasn't quite got the pace in these early stages as they push the track limits.
Yeah, I mean, that's pushing the inside of the corner. That's going to get the attention of race director. But the Nissan will have the straight line performance to deal with the Audi, but in particular the BMW. It's just a question of which of the two cars is he going to be able to get a grip on. It's got to be the Audi, obviously, but just whereabouts on the track it should be down, as we saw the Ferrari doing the Lamborghini into turn 13.
So the Audi at the moment of Stefano Telli not quite able to get past. Buch getting up into third place also means that if it stays like this, the overall Blancpain GT Series title will remain the same, or will not be won, I should say. Robin Freitz and Lawrence Van Thor will still lead it, but it won't be won by them. As we go on board with Sean Walkinshaw, the overall, the Blancpain Sprint Series title cannot be decided today. As we go on board with Walkinshaw, and he's got a great view of the battle up in front. Ortelli not close enough to the BMW just yet.
The difference in speed in the BMW and the Audi isn't massive. I mean, it's better for the Audi, but it's not sufficient for Ortelli to be able to make a meaningful move, as we saw the Ferrari doing, and Walkinshaw just sort of hanging there waiting to see what's going to happen. But there's the lead, comes across the start-finish line, was 0.8 of a second, it's now going to be 1.5 seconds. Max Buch looks to look down the inside, but not close enough, but again just putting the Bentley into the mirrors of the Lamborghini and harrying the Lamborghini all the way into the beginning of lap 7.
The Lamborghini has also been warned to respect the track limits at turn 16, which is the final corner on the circuit. We saw him hurtling out there earlier on, and now Patrick Kugel has been told you've got to keep an eye on that, or we'll be giving you a penalty. Nicky Meyer-Malnoff got a penalty in yesterday's race for exceeding the track limit, so the stewards are more than happy to do it. So Siegfried is 1.5 seconds clear at the front, and Kugler is under pressure from Buch, and that's Vincent Abril, Buch's teammate in that 84 HTP Bentley.
Again, you see how much track the Lamborghini is using, much more than the Bentley, more than the Ferrari. So Max Buch is thinking, now I've got a chance, this is my best position so far in the race to have a maneuver, a move possibly on the Lamborghini. It slightly had to check the throttle because of the concert, so Lamborghini goes defensive. Coming down to turn 11, now goes the long way around. Can he do what the Ferrari did some 3 or 4 laps earlier? Not able to. The Lamborghini consolidates. Max Buch knows, and he gets to turn 13. His chances have gone.
There's Jeroen Mull on the right, Mirko Bortolotti on the left, and they are watching Kugler starting to there's the look up the inside from Buch, not close enough there, but Kugler is really ragged, isn't he? Dipping the wheels in the grass there. He's trying, maybe too hard.
He's trying very hard. I mean, every corner running much wider on the exits than either the Ferrari or the Bentley. The Bentley again looks to make a pass, goes up the outside, tries to, but can't get sufficiently far alongside. Best chances now looking into 2, but again that's covered by the Lamborghini. So Max Buch's going to have to be a little bit patient, because into 4, not really an awful lot he can do. And there's the BMW closing down. Headlights flashing on the Bentley just to again add to the distraction. So it's going to be on the exit of 5 through the flat out curve, and 6 easy to take too much on the inside. Here was the scene of the incident last night between the Bentley and the #1 Audi, and the Bentley again just shadowing the Lamborghini. Watch how wide Kugler goes on the exit of the corner compared to the Bentley. Well, this time they both exit more or less using the same part of the racetrack. Bentley slightly further behind, but maybe that'll help get Max Buch get on the throttle and not have to check it. He did, I think, the previous lap.
Now Kugler is lapping over a second slower than his best lap time of the race so far, whereas on the last lap Siegfried set his best lap time of the race. So that shows you how much pace Kugler's lost. Now he's looking in his mirrors at the very big Bentley that's trying to force its way through, coming down into 14, but not close enough again.
Well, the Bentley is now lapping a second a lap slower than its best last lap in the race, and that's quite simply because he's caught up to the Lamborghini. The Lamborghini's lap time is running now. That was a 1:36 his previous lap. This lap is just about to come and finish. But certainly the pace of Max Buch, and look at the sky behind us, that's looking pretty threatening. So the last lap for Kugler 35.5, for Max Buch 35.7, race leader 34.9. Adios Lamborghini, 3.3, actually ironically 3.33 seconds, and the car is number 333. How spooky is that?
Not as spooky as those clouds though that are coming over. Will they threaten the race a little bit later on? So Siegfried it is leading the way. He's disappeared in that Ferrari for the time being, and the Attila Abreu, his pace catching up to these two has slowed a little, but he's still going to be there or thereabouts before too long. Sean Walkinshaw's dropping off the back of Ortelli at the moment, but this is the battle for second place with 46 minutes to go here in the Blancpain Sprint Series, and you can see just how close the Bentley is. as they come. Oh, I thought that was going to be a look up the inside, but coming out of 10 now is the Bentley's chance.
Yeah, I mean, for Max Buch has got to do all the good work is in that area into turn 9 and 10 to not overrun the back of the Lamborghini, not to give the Lamborghini the opportunity to get off the corner. Again, Max Buch looks to go the long way around, but sort of the middle to the end of the straight, then the Lamborghini seems to consolidate, whereas the Bentley can't do an awful lot more. And if you can't get alongside as you come into turn 11 and be alongside into 12, then the chances of doing anything beyond that are, you have to wait one more time.
The Lamborghini gets faster as the straight goes on. That's an obvious thing to say, but relatively to other cars, as we see some great battling going on here. This is Alexei Vasiliev, who's just got past Thomas Fjordbach, but because of their restrictor limitations, they're not that quick getting up to speed, but once they get up to the high-end speed, they start to increase their sort of speed exponential.
Yeah, I mean, I could have said that more economically,
yeah,
but I know
try it.
You've done it, I can't do it.
But so that's why they initially look under pressure, but the faster they go, the faster they get.
Yeah, it's the first half of the straight that they're not able to accelerate to their almost terminal speed as quickly as some of the competitors around them, certainly the Ferrari. But the Ferrari has got the ability to go through that sort of, we might say, barrier and pick up another 4 or 5 kilometers per hour on the straight.
So here's a replay of the start, and keep an eye out for the Lamborghini on second place. It was a rapid start, and the BMW in the middle jumps to the inside line and is darting around. He doesn't want to get put in a sandwich, and then Kuchela's still quite a way back there. He's done a really good job to get around the outside.
The reason he had a chance to do a good job, because on the outside of the corner he could run a little bit later and be on the brakes later, and he just about got the Lamborghini into a slot that either wasn't there but appeared, or he made the slot. So good driving from Kuchela and that opening corner.
See, it's right back there and then poof through into the lead of the race. So very impressive stuff from Kuchela, and you wonder whether that would have happened if the BMW hadn't been there in the middle. This is the view on board with Caca Bueno's car, and there's the jump from Attila Abreu. Fantastic stuff. Caca Bueno's getting shuffled out to the outside, then watch the Lamborghini go all the way around the outside.
And yes, I mean the key for the Lamborghini was he could go around the outside. Was there going to be a slot for him at the apex of turn 2 to slot into? And he made it, and he did it, and he did a great job.
So that last lap, the gap extended to 4.5 seconds up at the front of the field. Marco Seefried absolutely romping clear at the moment. Patrick Kuchela set the fastest first sector of anyone and did a 35.2 in the end, which is only 0.3 slower than his best lap time. So he's sort of settling down a little bit now into a maintainable pace, but he's still got Max Buch just a couple of tenths of a second behind him, but it's a lot neater and tidier at the moment for Kuchela.
Yeah, coming into turn 8, it's all looking as if the Bentley's ready to launch another challenge on this second place. And again, it's into turn 9 and then turn 10, where he needs to position the Bentley so that he gets on the throttle, he can continue, and he's got it. He's up the inside this time, more or less. He's going to make the Lamborghini stick on the outside of the corner. So it's finally taken, this is the 11th lap. It's taken him 9 laps to get to position. And there's the shot on board the Lamborghini, and he's had to concede. The speed of the Bentley just manages to push it ahead and into turn 13, and a great overtake thought out by Maximilian Buch and executed perfectly.
So Buch through into second position for the HTP Bentley squad. That would give him 18 points if the race were to finish now, meaning it would just be an 8-point gap come the final round of the season to the championship leaders Laurens van Thor and Robin Freins, who are not racing here after the car was written off yesterday. There's the race leader Marco Seefried across the line. Buch up into second, Kuchela down to third. Attila Abreu's 0.8 of a second behind, but I don't think he'll be able to put too much pressure on the Lamborghini, but we'll wait and see. And we've still got 7 minutes before the pit stop window opens.
Yeah, I mean, what Max Buch's going to do now is try and cut into that 5-second advantage the leading Ferrari of Marco Seefried has got. And once the Bentley is free of that sort of interference, you might say aerodynamic interference particularly, then I would expect to see the Bentley on this lap getting back into the low 135s, ideally into the higher 134s. But there is the lead Ferrari, and for Marco Seefried, once he got ahead of the Lamborghini, that fantastic pass around the outside of turn 12 into turn 13, he's just been able to pull away in that clear air, and nothing more a driver wants is to drive his own race without interference.
Now we'll get to see the pace of Maximilian Buch. They were saying before the race that they don't think they've maybe got the pace of the Ferrari, certainly not in qualifying trim, but maybe in the race it'll be a little better. So we'll keep an eye out on that one. In fact, the Bentley was only 1/10 of a second slower in the middle sector than the Ferrari, but it may be that the Ferrari is just consolidating. It is Stefan Ortelli trying to find his way past Caca Bueno. This is the battle for 5th position. Ortelli in the number 3 WRT Audi, and they've been joined by the big Nissan of Sean Walkinshaw.
It looked like it was going to get ugly there between the Audi and the BMW as they came into turn 13, but Ortelli thought the wiser of it. There's an event next weekend in Zandvoort. WRT have got a job to replace number 1 car, which was totally trashed in that major shunt last night. So Ortelli does not want to add to the woes for WRT.
Well, they've got a really big problem with that car because there aren't any chassis lying around at headquarters because they're all building the new R8 for next year. They haven't got any of the old R8s lying around, so at the moment they don't really know what they're going to do about getting a new chassis. There's Vincent Abril, who is getting ready to take over the second place Bentley of Maxi Buch, who on the last lap took 0.3 of a second out of Marco Seefried and has taken 0.2 out in this first sector alone.
And also recorded his personal best lap. Now he's clear of the Lamborghini. In the meantime, this battle with the Brew, Ortelli and Walkinshaw, this is for 5th through 7th. Pretty much status quo. Nobody's able to make a maneuver on the car. Nothing from the Nissan with its strengths. The Audi with Ortelli, the irrepressible Stefan Ortelli, who will fight. And Attila Abreu, who's using the BMW's advantages, which are principally in the twistier parts of the circuit.
So here is Caca Bueno. Multiple.
Wide burr. Is that something to say? Is that just coming off the racetrack, or are the rain drops? I mean, it looks the weather's coming from more or less the east, and it looks relatively clear that direction, but sort of south and west it looks a lot darker. That might have been just a quick clean of the windscreen. The gap was up to 5 seconds between first and second. 4.3.
Personal, fastest of anyone in the first and second sectors on that last lap, Maximilian Buch, and even in the middle sector he matched the Ferrari, so things looking good for the Bentley at the moment with Buch at the wheel. 4.3 seconds the gap, and this is this continuing battle for 5th place. As you see Stefan Rakelmi there, the Monegasque racer. 3 Monegasques in the field, Abreu, Rakelmi and Ortelli, which has to be the most amount of Monegasque drivers in any championship ever, as they wind their way through and out onto the back straight. Can you think of more Monegasque drivers than these 3?
Oh, it depends on the formula you're thinking about. I mean, lots of them have that as their residence, whether they physically live there.
Yeah.
Shh, don't talk about that sort of thing on rare. No, it's a popular place for drivers to base themselves because convenience to Nice and being sort of in the southern Europe, it's pretty nice.
Yeah, very nice. So 38 minutes to go. There is our race leader Marco Seefried. Maximilian Buch has he's lost a couple of 10ths of a second on this lap so far, but he hasn't had the strong final sector yet where the Bentley is good. But look at Stefan Ortelli right up behind Caca Bueno. Bueno knows all about close fought racing. He's a multiple champion in the Brazilian Stock Car Series. 6-time champion Ortelli, and through goes Sean Walkinshaw up into 6th position. So Ortelli makes the error coming into turn 13, and as a result shuffles wide and shuffles down a place.
Now that was an unforced error unexpectedly from Stefan Ortelli. Just got it all wrong in turn 13 between 13 and 14 and forced to run the car wide. So let's look again, just carrying too much speed and runs way wide off the racetrack. And Sean Walkinshaw sitting there waiting for the opportunity now. That's going to give him a great chance to put his Nissan into a challenging position to take 4th place away, because the Nissan has not been able to display its strengths in this battle over 4th place. Now it's got a better chance with only the BMW ahead.
And he went past Ortelli and was so subsequently excited he set the fastest final sector of the race so far, Sean Walkinshaw. So now we're going to see that speed from the Nissan. And he's going to try and close in on Caca Bueno in front and try and do the job that Stefan Ortelli couldn't do, which is get past the Brazilian and up into 5th place. The battle between Kujula and Abreu, meanwhile, is still about 9/10 of a second and not really changing too much.
No, it's the gap between first and second. It's hovering now around about 4.3 seconds. So the pace of the leading 2 cars more or less lap upon lap identical. But this is the battle for 3rd place, and the BMW really is honing in onto the rear of the Lamborghini. Again, it's going to have to battle very hard in the 2 parts of the track where the BMW has its strengths. but they happen to be the same parts of the racetrack where the Lamborghini's also strong. But the wide elbows of Attila Abreu, coming from Brazilian stock car racing, not afraid to use them.
No, absolutely not. As they come through the left-hander then, Maximilian Buch. And across the line, the gap is going to remain at about 4.2 seconds, so it comes down a couple of tenths, goes up a couple of tenths.
Yeah, I mean, it's roughly a tenth and a bit a second a lap, the gap between the two. So I suspect that Maximilian Buch has taken quite a lot out of his car, particularly out of the tyres, in those battles he was having with Kujala to get through, and consequently he's paying the price, whereas Marco Seefried has had a pretty easy run, albeit in the front, been able to place the car with accuracy and not putting any additional load or stress into the car or tyres, and more consistent ultimately over the lap.
Now, if the race were to finish like this, we'd have a three-way title fight going into Zandvoort, because the Rinaldi Ferrari would only be 27 points off the lead of the championship, and there's 34 available in a weekend, so it would be a long shot, but they'd still technically, mathematically be in title contention going into the final round of the season, which I think they'd be absolutely delighted with, considering the sort of bad luck that they've had this season and the slow start to the year.
Nothing wrong with a long shot. Didn't a Finnish driver, Kimi Räikkönen, a long shot win the World Championship 2007? And what was he driving?
A Ferrari.
A Ferrari.
A Ferrari. So pit stop window is open, and who will be coming in first? I think we'll say Marco. Seefried might come in because he's pushing like anything on this lap. In comes Buch. In comes Maximilian Buch to hand over to Vincent Abril. In comes Kujala to hand over to Bortolotti. In comes Abreu as well. So in the Nissan 2 coming into the pits.
So this is going to be where I suspect this race can be won and lost. We saw a great stop from the Rinaldi team last night. We know that the Bentley team will do all they can, albeit that they had a penalty and they'll not repeat that. Kujala comes in, so jacks up, driver gets out. Mirko Bertolotti, and Kujala inexperienced in relation to Bertolotti, so if the Lamborghini team can turn that car around. Come on, Maxi, make sure that door, we had a problem with the door last night, it didn't close. Everybody get, oh! He was in the air.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that one he might get away with. Oh, and the Lamborghini loses a position.
Yes, the Lamborghini drops 2 positions in the end. The Grasser Racing team not as slick a job as they managed yesterday, so that means that the Bentley's still in second place, isn't it? But they lose out to the 77 BMW. And there's the Nissan going out ahead of the number 2 car, which it was anyway. So we'll keep an eye out on whether there's any more progress made. There's the leading Ferrari, so they came in 2. They're going to hold the lead of the race. Second place still for Vincent Abril, but up into third now is the 77 car of Valdeno Brito now, and it's down to 4th spot for the time being for that Lamborghini of Mirko Bortolotti. And at the pit stops, the number 3 Audi is now back in front of the Nissan.
Yes, I think this shows you what WRT can do. They can turn around an issue, literally, and Max Buch done a great job. Bentley boys, HTP, very happy indeed. So, he couldn't really do anything more than he did. He got ahead of the Lamborghini, a great pass again down at the back of the end of the straight. Put the Bentley into second place. It remains in second place. And what can he do with the Ferrari? Or what can Vincent Abril, who surprisingly, you mentioned that the Bentley team think that on a single lap Abril has got a fraction more pace, whereas Buch is the better driver over the duration.
Well, yeah, I mean, Abril came into the team, I suppose, as the young driver. I mean, Buch's not an old man, but he's in his early 20s, but he's the kind of established driver, former Blancpain Endurance Series champion. But in the last couple of races, I think since Moscow, Vincent Abril has been the man they've put in the car to do the pole position shootout and to try and get pole position, because they think at the moment he's got a quicker 1-lap pace than Maximilian Buch, and Buch's fine with it apparently. Buch says, whatever's best for the team.
No, that's a good attitude to take. It's interesting, Olivier Panis, former Grand Prix driver who is a mentor to Vincent Abril, maybe a little bit of that influence is assisting Vincent Abril when it comes to that focus for the 1 lap. I mean, it's not like a single lap qualifying, it's a combination of good laps, but ultimately you want to get that 1 lap on the best set of tyres available to try and gain some advantage, and Vincent Abril seems to be the go-to guy in HTP Bentley to do that.
Absolutely. So Caco Bueno stays out. He doesn't come in to hand over to Sergio Jimenez. Also Philippe Salaquada hasn't come in either, but most of our front runners have made their pit stop. In comes Bueno now, and it's 3.5 seconds the gap then between Norbert Siedler and Vincent Abril. So we'll keep an eye out on the lap times, because whether that gap can continue to come down, because HTP took a second out at the pit stops, and now we've got Craig Dolby at the wheel of the Nissan, who's all over the back of Stefan Otelli, but the marker board sent flying.
I mean, the marker board is not there to be punched. I mean, it's there to say this is where we want you to stop, because it has a bearing on the wheel changes. They need to have the car in a precise position, so as everything is in position then when they want to make... It's all about... It's almost like choreography. You've got to get everything so precise to get the best performance.
So out comes Caco Bueno. Here is the race leader then, Norbert Siedler, through the final corner to start the 20th lap of the race. And there is the second place car, the 84 Bentley. And the gap is 4.1 seconds, so it's gone up a little, but the wipers are on the race leading Rinaldi car. Can't see any rain out of the window at the moment. Well, a few spits and splobs actually on the window as Caco Bueno comes out. He's going to... Where's he? Is he going to hold on to that position? Yes, he is. Good pit stop for the Brazilians, because he comes out in front of the Nissan and Audi that he was battling with before the pit stop window opened. So
I think what we're seeing is there's again the Lamborghini, the wiper going. Before the pit stops, we saw Otelli wiper going. Otelli then ran wide coming down the back straight. I wonder whether maybe there was just that small amount of moisture, and this is a racetrack that doesn't let moisture evaporate or clear off quickly or easily. The track stayed wet a long time after the overnight rain, and it was only maybe in the 20 minutes or 30 minutes before this event got underway that I could say the track was entirely dry.
Well, the wet tyres are out there for the Bentley crew, so we've got they're just checking the pressures, and that's the Brazilians, who have got the wet tyres out. But at the moment there's not too much rain to speak of. Running very wide there, Valdena Brito.
Well, again, that might be just, we can't see it on the windscreens, we can't see it on the racetrack. We're seeing the Lamborghini with those, well, the Ferrari I should say, with the wiper, just one or two wipes during the course of a lap. And the trouble is, you can't see it on this track surface because it's such a dark surface. Normally a racetrack that's well worn is grey, or maybe you see a sort of a hint of brown in it, but this is a very black surface, and drivers are having difficulty picking up the difference between dry and dry/damp going to wet.
So we've still not had Philippe Salaquada come into the pits either, so he, in that 74 Audi, he's technically leading the way, but he hasn't come into the pits yet. Norbert Siedler is flying meanwhile. He's got the gap up to 5 seconds and 0.4 of a second quicker than Vincent Abril in the first sector alone. It's Mirko Bortolotti who's just set the fastest first sector of anyone in the Lamborghini Huracan, and as a result he is right on the back now of the Brazilian BMW in the hands of Valdena Brito for 4th position.
Yeah, so Mirko Bortolotti and Miji. So let's have a look and see. Max book the door.
He spots the door.
Yes,
that's good work.
So the tyre guys get the door. The car's still up on the jacks. It's off his jacks now. The car. Oh, I tell you what, that's horribly close. Horribly close. I don't know what the view on that will be. He certainly hadn't leapt at the point the car moved. But maybe that was an optical illusion from our position in the commentary booth, and the race director's got a different view.
But it's a different scenario to yesterday, where the mechanics were stood, the other by the car in the fast lane as it pulled away. Now this is the battle. This is the battle for 4th position, and we're on board with Mirko Bortolotti in the Grasser Racing Lamborghini Huracan, right up behind Valdena Brito, who's using all the road and a little bit more as they come across the line to start the 21st lap. And it's the battle over it's the battle over 3rd place, isn't it? My apologies, because Bononomi's now made the pit stop, taking a much wider line through 2. Bortolotti.
Yeah, I mean, all that's just about looking for the best exit speed, because the BMW is doing one thing, he's thinking of doing something slightly different. So down into 4, and then this is double corner down into 5. So from here on, he's got a chance. He's right under the rear wing, but has to back out of it fractionally. So can he do anything on this sort of second quickest part of the racetrack from 6th through a curve which is called 7th, then into braking, into turn 8, and looks to go down the inside, closes right up on the back of the BMW. He needs to be in contact with the BMW from now onwards up until the exit of 10 and use the straight line advantage. The Lamborghini ought to have, again, a totally different approach to the corner. Looks to cut back, get the undercut, get the power on. Good traction from the Lamborghini.
Now let's see what happens in the straight line then. We're going to be in the perfect position to see it. The BMW is a car that struggles with straight line speed as well, because it's so aerodynamic dependent. As they come down towards 14, Bortolotti not going to be close enough this time around, I don't think. He's got experience here before. Bortolotti raced this car here in the Italian GT Championship, and the car was running second before his teammate had a spin. As they come towards the final turn, and I think it's going to be somewhere unorthodox for Bortolotti to get past.
It's interesting just to compare Bortolotti and Patrick Kujala, who started, and obviously the experience of Bortolotti is coming through. You can see he's thinking a lot more. He's not just sort of hammering the car. He's trying to work out, where can I use my strengths? You can see again in this first sector how quick the Lamborghini is vis-a-vis the BMW. I mean, the BMW is a great car. Big lock-up, that's the opportunity. Thank you very much. Made it easy for me. Down at a part of the racetrack, turn 4 and 5, which you would not ordinarily think a pass was going to be possible. But you lock it up like that, and the door opens, and come on through, Mirko. Come on through.
He says grazie and he's on his way. So you could see that coming from the exit of 2. He took a much wider line into 2, got the run out of it through 3, and then coming down there into 4 and 5, pressured the BMW into a mistake. And so Bortolotti is through, up into 3rd position. Started his career, as many of these drivers did, in single-seaters, raced in the GP3 Championship on occasion, then went on to win the Formula 2 Championship in 2011. Won it at Monza at his home race, which he was very happy about. But he's now up into 3rd place. The gap at the front, meanwhile, up to 6 seconds.
Yeah, but more importantly is the gap now between 2nd and 3rd. The gap 1st to 2nd's opened up to 6 seconds. So Mirko Bortolotti will be looking, 24 minutes or so remaining. He's got a 1.9 second gap as they came across the line, end of lap 22. This is the end of lap 23. That gap is going to be consolidated. Wipers again, it's not raining, it's just spitting, spotting, 1.8. So Vincent Abril will be getting the message that he's now got the Lamborghini behind him, and he will not be allowed to relax with that.
Dolby, for the last 2 laps, has set the fastest final sector of anyone, and on that last lap he was 1.1 seconds quicker than Sergio Jimenez in front of him. So Jimenez in the BMW Team Brazil car in 5th. Dolby's closing in on him about a second a lap, so we'll keep an eye out for that one too in the always evolving Motorsport Nissan. This meanwhile is the battle for 11th position. Frank Stippler is in front of Marco Asmer at the moment. Stippler in the WRT Audi, Asmer in the GT Russian Mercedes. Former British Formula 3 champion Marco Asmer back in 2007. And he's chasing down Stippler, who has a wealth of experience. Again, the wipers going for Asmer. And Car Zero won the pit stop challenge, so that's the Sergio Jimenez Caca Bueno car, and we said it had made a good pit stop because it had come out well in front of Dolby and Raquelme and that kind of gang. But yeah, Brazilian's very good.
Yes, I mean, it's nice to win something. And I mean, the pit stop challenge is a very incremental part of the entire weekend, because that's where very often on certain circuits where we find overtaking more difficult than others, that you can make your pass. Interestingly, going back to Craig Dolby, currently he's the 2nd quickest car on the circuit outside of the leading Ferrari, running in the high 1 minute 33s, and that lead gap up to 7.7 seconds, gap between 2nd and 3rd down to 1.6, and gap between 3rd and 4th down to 1.7. So 4th to 3rd to 2nd is beginning to gradually concertina, and now Dolby, he's only got the BMW ahead of Sergio Jimenez, and Dolby ought to be able to get on touch with that pretty quickly. He's 1.8 seconds behind the BMW. There is that gap for the 5th place.
And he took another second out of the BMW on that last lap, did a 33.7, whereas Jimenez did a 34.7. So the Nissan's coming, and Jimenez will be having to look in his mirrors before too long. Meanwhile, Norbert Siedler's just getting quicker and quicker out there. Fastest first sector of anyone on this lap.
I mean, they've been absolutely sublime all week. I don't want to put the commentator's curse on the 333 Rinaldi Ferrari, but they got pole position. They won last night. They've been dominant, assertive, confident, used the strengths of the Ferrari. Again, fastest second sector. They're the guys.
They found out.
They're happy. Well done, guys. Caipirinhas all around. And if you don't know what a caipirinha is, you don't want to drink it, because believe me, it's brain damage.
So that's what's happened. So Seidler has gone quickest in the middle sector as well of anyone, so he is absolutely romping clear up at the front. You also get a cash prize for winning the pit stop challenge. That'll please the mechanics, no doubt, as Seidler does a 1 minute 33.6 on that last lap. And yeah, only man that is quicker than him is Craig Dolby. He took 0.8 he extended his lead on that last lap, Seidler, by 0.8 of a second. He is flying in that 333 Ferrari. Wonderful performance from the pair, and this will only be the second clean sweep of the season. Robin Franks and Lawrence Van Thor did a clean sweep in Brands Hatch and in Zolder, but so this will be the third of the season. But nevertheless, impressive stuff from Seidler and Siegfried.
Marcus Winkelhock, what's he doing down in 14th? Sort of.
He's just overtaken Anders Fjordback.
Yeah, but I mean,
and
13th of him.
but,
So Nicky, I mean, Nicky Maramelov had an incident up at turn 9, I think it was, earlier in the race. So I mean, obviously that's caused. I mean, but Marcus, well, he's in 13th position now as he comes over the start-finish line. But I mean, way out of position for somebody who is, I mean, again, a go-to guy for the Phoenix Racing Audi team.
20 minutes to go here at Misano. It's the penultimate round of the season in the Blancpain Sprint Series, and we've got the battle that's brewing really for second, third, fourth, fifth and sixth, I suppose, with Craig Dolby, who's taken another 0.8 of a second out of Valdeno Brito and is less than a second behind, out of Sergio Jimenez, and he's now less than a second behind.
Yes, but he's got not just one BMW, he's got two of them ahead, so he gets past one. It's going to be a bit
Groundhog Day.
Well, I mean, are you going to back them all up? I doubt they will do that, because I think that Jimenez is going to try to defend as best he can. Valdeno Brito in fourth place has got a just over a 3-second advantage over the second of the two BMWs, but Dolby using the grunt of the Nissan coming off turn 16 to look to dive down the inside. Didn't have much chance that time. But again, you can force drivers into errors. We saw what happened a few minutes ago when
that was to Valdeno Brito, wasn't it? When
Bortolotti got through, squeezed, put the pressure on and got through.
It's turn 4, then through 5, then the left-hand flick that brings you back out through turn 6. There's Sean Walkinshaw on the pit wall, teammate of that man Craig Dolby, who is hunting down the BMW in front. It's down to 1.3 seconds, the gap between second and third. It's kind of settled down at 1.3 seconds at the moment. There's Caca Bueno. Oh, don't know what's going to happen here. He's hoping his teammate Sergio Jimenez can hold on. He's gone much narrower though, coming into the right-hander that takes them out onto the back straight.
Yeah, I mean, Dolby took a totally different line, hung way out on the left to cut back to straighten the apex and the exit of the corner to try and get that little bit of extra drive. And he's got it now. He's got the speed. Can he get up the inside?
Ooh.
He's forced it. Yes, and that all began into turn 9. Well spotted, Craig. You found your slot on the track. You made good use of it, and you got through. Now you got one BMW down, one more to go.
Absolutely. So Dolby up into 5th place. Thumbs up from Sean Walkinshaw. This is a great drive from Craig Dolby. Their best result of the season so far was a 3rd place in the first race at Brands Hatch. But in terms of main race results for Walkinshaw and Dolby, it's a 6th place finish at Zolder. That's the best they've had so far. So if they can finish up in 4th position, that would be great news for them. But
this gap down to 1.2 seconds, so Mirko Bertolotti now senses he's got a 2nd place potentially. 17 minutes remaining. Lamborghini's pace over the last lap, well, not dissimilar, maybe a 1/10 of a second here or there on the Bentley, but when you get that car within a sort of a second, you feel you've got the guy, and then that's when you can start to work on him and make him start to drive negatively, in other words defensively, while you're all positive.
So we're on board with Bortolotti, who is actually racing the Gallardo in Italian GT here, not the Huracan, but nevertheless he's got experience with this Misano circuit this year, and he accelerates up through this flat out kink, and then they brake pretty much on the apex for this turn 12.
I think it's really very much about how good your tyres are. If you've got really fresh rubber, you're looked after, and you can go that little bit deeper. But if you're uncertain, if the back's beginning to give up, you've just got to get out of it early. Otherwise, you'll end up with a car that's not really going to give you much chance to make it through turn 13 into 14.
So Seidler's lead is continuing to extend. He is now 8.1 seconds clear. In fact, it came down by a tenth of a second on that last lap, but Vincent Abril set the fastest final sector of the race so far, so he's starting to feel a bit of pressure from Bortolotti behind. Dolby, meanwhile, is a second quicker a lap than Valdeno Brito in 4th place, so Dolby continues his charge in that always evolving motorsport Nissan. So go through 6.
Oh, very, very wide. Vincent Abril coming out of 6. Again, it's on the red stuff. You're allowed to run the red stuff, but you do have to be careful. If you get beyond that, then that's again an issue with abuse of track limits. So it is fundamentally a motorcycle, MotoGP racetrack these days, and that's why we've got these very, very flat exits to corners, and drivers have been given advice that they can use the exit of the corner to the limit of that bit of red you're looking at. It's the inside where it's painted green. If you abuse that, you can make up time by doing it, but you run the chance of being done by a race director. Again, wipers just momentarily on the Bentley, indicating that there are little spits and spots coming down to the back end of the circuit into the turn 13 into 14 now, and then the short sprint up to the left-hander at 15.
There's Renaud Dufour, the team manager of the HTP squad, in the background, watching the 84 HTP of Vincent Abril come through the final corner and across the line again. The gap was 1.2 seconds. It's remained at 1.2 because Abril was again quick in the final sector. There's Craig Dolby though. It was 1.4 seconds, the gap between... no, sorry, he's come down by another 9/10 of a second on that last lap, so it's down to 1.8 seconds. So 2 more laps and Dolby will be on the back of Valdeno Brito, and he'll try and get past as swiftly as he did with Jimenez.
Yeah, I mean, if he can execute the same kind of maneuver at the same part of the racetrack, that will catch, in effect, the second or the lead of the 2 BMWs in the same way it caught out Sergio Jimenez. But there's a lot of ifs and ands and buts, and we're seeing probably more use of wipers at different parts of the lap. It's not raining in the sense that drivers are concerned about it. It's just, again, you see coming down into the back end of the circuit down at turns 14, there's just the odd little spit spot hovering around the sort of the general location of the racetrack.
Another the fastest middle sector of anyone by Norbert Seidler. He continues to go quicker and quicker in the lead of the race in the 333 Rinaldi Ferrari. And what a strong performance this has been by them. And, they've had a good season. They're 5th overall, Norbert Seidler, in the Blancpain GT Series, the overall GT Series. But they are not in championship contention in the overall GT Series, but if things stay like this, they could be in contention come Zandvoort next weekend for the final round of the Sprint Series Championship. And so there in second place is Vincent Abril in the HTB Bentley into turn 1. Then it's Mirko Bortolotti in the Grasser Racing Lamborghini. Then we've got Valdeno Brito in the BMW, now 1.2 seconds ahead of Craig Dolby in the Nissan. Behind them is Sergio Jimenez in the Brazilian BMW. Then you've got Stefan Otelli, Stefan Riquelme running in 7th place. Christopher Mies is up into 8th position, and in 9th place is Nicky Katzberg. So your kind of Riquelme, Mies, Katzberg group are the kind of drivers that could be fighting up at the front of the order, but poor first stints mean that they are fighting further back in the pack. And there's the 75 car of Marco Bononomi, who has been given a warning flag for not respecting track limits. He's in front of Frank Stipler, who's in front of Marco Asmu, who's in front of Marcus Winkelhock, Anders Fjordbach and Christoph Buschu, the last of our 15 runners at the moment.
The Fjordbach, you think it was running slightly off the pace, but that's its pace. And bringing up the tail, Christoph Buschu in the Mercedes. Normally you wouldn't expect to hear Christoph Buschu's name being associated with bringing up the tail of the field, but back to Marco Seefried, 8.7 seconds, and really now with 11 3/4 minutes remaining, it's about, I think, just bring it home, make sure You can almost hear tire squeal as it came through turn 16. Might be just the effect of the exhaust at the same point in the circuit. But 8.7 seconds was his advantage. He's got virtually the full length of the start-finish straight before we see the second place Bentley come into view. 9.5 seconds. So Bentley has lost time, almost 0.7 of a second on that last lap. And the Nissan now is within threatening distance to the fourth place, Aldeno Brito.
Fastest man on the track at the moment, Craig Dolby. He's set the fastest lap of the race on the previous tour at 1 minute 33.631. So it's very, very interesting, and it's great to see Craig Dolby in the Nissan, the former Super League Formula racer. And he did a very good job in Super League Formula, and he's now doing a very good job here in the Blancpain GT Series, right up on the back of Brazilian Valdeno Brito. Car 88 has been warned for track limits as well. That's Nick Katzberg, but he's down in 9th place, so in line to pick up 2 championship points.
Again, watching what Craig Dolby is doing, he's cutting the corner to get that really strong exit speed. He's not close enough this time as he was when he got past Jimenez a number of laps ago, but he's working the same kind of magic in a sense. But he has run down the BMW. He's going to be close to it coming into 12. The defence from the BMW means that Dolby had to get out of the throttle slightly earlier than he might have anticipated, but give it one more lap. Again, hangs out really late on the entry into turn 14 to get the advantage and that switchback. So he's right under the rear wing of the BMW and will hope to be there coming through turn 16 and to try and just get the drive off the corner, get slightly quicker off the corner than the BMW. It's difficult to pass into turn 1, but that's what he's got in his mind.
Across the line they come, just 0.3 of a second between them. Less than 10 minutes to go. This is the battle of a 4th position for Craig Dolby in the always evolving Motorsports Nissan. There's his teammate Walkinshaw. The lead is up to 10 seconds now between Norbert Siedler and Vincent Abril. With the lights ablaze, where can the Nissan try and get through? We know where he got past the 0 BMW, which was in the little kink at 13, or 12 I suppose it was, wasn't it? As they come down towards turn 8, the hairpin. Mirko Bortolotti has closed, well, it's still just 1 second really between he and Vincent Abril in their battle over second position. And
really, I mean, just watch what Dolby's doing here. He's going to go on a different approach into turn 9. Stays again. See how far wide he goes now. He turns the nose in, makes the apex while the BMW's run wide. At the same point, the Nissan has got its wheels over the inside of the corner, and that's to put himself in the position he's in. Slightly better than he was 1 lap ago, but it's going to be difficult to get past. Strong defence coming from the BMW, and Dolby knows that if he makes a move that goes wrong, it'll go big time wrong.
So Brito is going wider into the corner. Dolby's going wider into the corner to try and carry more speed out. Why doesn't the BMW try and do that?
Because then they would think that the Nissan might try then to slot itself up the inside and might get halfway along and then make a compromise. And it's just, what do you think is going to work best for you? Tension on the faces of the team in the pit lane. I mean, there's a great battle. This is what motorsport is about. You know, 2 drivers, 2 different brands, 2 great names racing one another and using different bits of the racetrack to give advantage, to give defence, to try and stall one, to try and gain. But you can see Dolby all over the back of the BMW. We know it's capable of lapping quicker than the Nissan's quicker than the BMW, but you may be quicker, but you've got to make it stick. Again, we're going to come down through the curve at 7 into 8. Not really a place you'd expect to see a pass. So again, see how different he enters the corner to try and get a better exit and then put himself into position. The BMW runs way, way wide. It all will come up at turn 9. Again, watch what Dolby does. Goes, again, that high line, then drops the nose of the Nissan down, picks up the inside of the corner, tries to get on the throttle, get the drive off the corner. But the BMW is doing a great defensive job, not doing anything wrong whatsoever.
Yep, no mistakes so far for Valdeno Brito. Here he comes towards the little kink, and Brito covers the inside line a little bit, just so that Dolby can't go there for a late last-minute manoeuvre. Using all of the road possible, Craig Dolby. A warning flag for Bortolotti for exceeding track limits. He's got the gap down between he and Vincent Abril to less than a second. as they come through the final corner. It's just gone up to 1.1 seconds again now, so that's staying the same. But it's this battle for 4th place that's going to be the one to watch, as Dolby noses towards the inside coming into turns 1 and 2, but nothing to be done there.
I mean, the BMW is really neat and tidy through turns 1 and 2, offering up no opportunities whatsoever for the Nissan to have a lunge. Again, the sprint from exit of 3 down to turn 4 and then 5 becomes 4 and 5 are almost one corner. Then that little short sprint between 5, quick flick back into turn 6. Again, the BMW, all its strengths are coming to the fore of this part of the track. Then the straight bit of the track down into turn 8. The Nissan closes down. Again, Dolby hangs high and late on his turn in to try and get the undercut. Again, it's all about position, ultimately up into turn 9 and 10. It's close again this time and looking to do. I mean, the trouble is every time you keep doing the same thing, then Brito will pick up the message and he knows precisely where the Nissan's going to be and what he might have to do.
But that was a good drive, I think, from Dolby. He's absolutely right behind the BMW as they come down towards turn 11. That is flat out. If you take the racing line and around the outside goes Dolby off the circuit. Brito's holding in on the inside line as they come down into 13, and Dolby goes through up into the position, but Brito's fighting back. He's getting squeezed. They're going to make contact. No, Brito holds on. Wonderful driving between the pair of them, and it's still the Brazilian BMW in 4th place.
Excellent driving. I mean, absolutely door handle to door handle between the two of them. And okay, maybe there's a little bit of blue on the BMW, a bit of yellow on the Nissan. It doesn't matter. That was classic, good, close. You can even see in the BMW, they're loving it. They think it's great.
Absolutely. So less than 5 minutes to go. This is the battle over 4th position. It's Craig Dolby in the Nissan, up behind Valdeno Brito in the Brazilian BMW. And he's trying to find a way past somehow, is Craig Dolby. Another one of those drivers whose single-seater career stalled. Sean Walkinshaw wanting him to push. And we will wait and see whether we get a similar story this time around, because that's clearly where the strengths of the Nissan are as he gets on the brakes into the hairpin again.
Yeah, I mean, it's just literally Dolby just having to take optional lines to try and get the position. It's going to be again another big, well, I mean, a theatrical moment almost now into turn 9 and then on the exit of 10 to see whether he can get any closer and just try and get the job done before they get to the critical part of turn 13, and that's where the BMW's advantage came back. But I mean, what great racing again, the long way for the Nissan, but he goes to cut up the inside to try and wrong foot, and he's back again to the left hand side of the track. I mean, you need a mirror as big as a car to see where the Nissan is.
Absolutely. And as they get on the brakes into the right-hander at 14, really fantastic fighting between these two. But now Brito knows where Dolby is strongest, but he also knows if he covers the inside line too much, he'll just go around the outside.
Absolutely, that's the give and take. That's almost the chess game that we're seeing played out between these two brands, and two entirely different. You couldn't have a more British guy than Craig Dolby, or a more Brazilian than Valdano Brito. I mean, but isn't that wonderful? Motorsport, all the different personalities and characters, all coming to play right in front of you in your living room.
A German brand and a Japanese brand doing battle as well on the circuit as two, and this is allowing Sergio Jimenez to close in on these two a little bit, but I don't think they'll really come into the title fight as they come through the left-hander now, down towards the hairpin. The gap between second and third has gone up to 2 seconds now, so Vincent Abril has the advantage and is looking good to chop the championship lead of Robin Freitz and Lawrence Van Thor down to just 8 points. But here we go again, Craig Dolby in the Nissan. You can see him laying down the rubber, and I think he hasn't got as good a drive this time through as he did last time. No, he doesn't. There's a couple of car lengths between them. 2.5 minutes left. And where can Dolby try and find the advantage? This is the battle for 4th position in the penultimate round of the Blancpain Sprint Series in Misano. The Italian circuit has given us some great racing so far this weekend. And there's our race leader, by the way, Norbert Siedler. And he has got a big advantage over Vincent Abril. It's up to 9.2 seconds. Bortolotti running third for the Grasser Racing Lamborghini Huracan team. And then this is the 4th place squabble. Brito and Dolby still going at it. They're on to the penultimate lap of the race now. And there's Marco Seefried looking up to the skies just to check everything's okay. It's the right-hander again. Dolby puts down the power and he's right up behind Valdeno Brito. Brito's been a regular in the Brazilian Stock Car Championship over the years. 41 years old now. Raced in the Porsche Super Cup as well, briefly in 2009 for Conrad. But an experienced racer and experienced with these GT3s too. Here we go then. You know the drill now. Nissan to the outside, BMW to the inside. Nissan gets the drive, and he's closer this time than he was previously. The rain's coming down a little more now as well, but here comes Dolby. The BMW defends. Dolby looks to the outside. He tries to do the same thing again, and he gets pushed right out wide, and he manages to get past. Dolby through into 4th place, but he's carried too much speed, and the Brazilian BMW is going to be back up the inside. Brito holds on to 4th. This is just fantastic. They're going to be starting the final lap of the race in a moment, so there'll just be one more chance for Dolby to get through the final corner and across the line. Norbert Siedler, the race leader, is on his final lap. And the thing that's going to kill us is he's going to be coming across the line just as these two go into turns 11 and 12. But here they come then. What a fight this is. Nothing more that either of them can do. The Nissan fundamentally quicker than the BMW. But whatever Dolby tries, he's having to try, you know, extravagant stuff around the outside of the quickest corner on the circuit. But whatever he tries, Brito at the moment has got a response. Down into the hairpin. Oh, a little bit out of shape there, Dolby, as he got on the curbs under braking, I think. And that has cost him a tiny bit of time. He needs to get a really good drive out of this turn number 10. It's good, but it's not as good as it has been in the past. So here they come down the back straight towards the flat out kink at 11. He's going to be there or thereabouts by the time they get towards 14, but I don't think Dolby's going to quite have enough darts back to the inside at 13. Brito holds on. Here towards the final corner comes Norbert Siedler. The wipers are on, but the rain's not going to bother him now. The checker flag falls for Rinaldi Racing. Norbert Siedler and Marco Seefried win the penultimate round of the season. It's 2nd place for Vincent Abril and Maximilian Buch. They slash into the championship lead of Van Thor and Franks. It's 3rd place across the line for the Marco Bortolotti Lamborghini, and 4th across the line Valdeno Brito and Craig Dolby in 5th. But a standing ovation for those two, because one of the best GT fights I've seen. But there are our victors. Marco Seefried and Norbert Siedler, a perfect weekend. The pole, the qualifying race win, and the main race win. And delight for the Rinaldi team. And really, no one could stop them. No one could do anything about them, as they disappeared up. And look at the rain now. Goodness me. It's bucketing it down. This is the view on board with Norbert Siedler. And that couldn't have been more perfectly timed, the rain. Well, we didn't really need any more added spice to the final few laps, did we? Those fights were absolutely superb. But it's victory for Norbert Siedler and Marco Seefried, and that means that in the championship fight, I think they're just going to be 27 points behind the title leaders, Robin Freins and Laurens Van Thor. Going into the final round, there's 34 points on offer. Here's a look at the results after 38 laps of racing in a frantic race. Marco Seefried and Norbert Siedler take the victory. 7 seconds clear of Buch and Abril in 2nd position. Patrick Kujula and Mirko Bortolotti finish in 3rd place for the Grasser Racing Lamborghini team. And then it is Valdeno Brito and Attila Abreu who hold off Walkinshaw and Dolby for that 4th position in that wonderful fight. Caca Bueno and Sergio Jimenez finishing in 6th spot. Ortelli and Raquelme in 7th. Ede and Christopher Mies in 8th position for the WRT squad. Salaquadra and Bononomi picking up a point and completing the top 10. Alexei Vasiliev and Marco Asmat finishing in 11th spot, and then we've got Nicky Mehrmanov and Marcus Winkelhock completing the top 12. And then further down the order, the other WRT of Stippler and Nash, the ISR car of Fjordback brothers, and then Alexei Kadashev and Christoph Boucher completing the 15 finishers. We had 3 cars not start. In comes Maximilian Buch and Vincent Abril. The championship advantage was 26 points, but with 18 points for second place, it's now down to 6. Sorry, 8, my apologies. But also in the title fight now are Marco Seefried and Norbert Siedler. A perfect weekend. And Max Buch congratulates them. And Buch and Abril will be happy with that, I think. As I say, 8 points now, their deficit. A thumbs up from Mirko Bortolotti. And someone's very happy in there, I presume that's the Rinaldi team. So now let's hear from our race winners, Marco Seefried and Norbert Siedler, as the rain comes down.
Marco Seefried, a perfect weekend, pole position, 2 victories, and now it's coming on to rain.
Yeah, it couldn't get any better. It was very frightening towards the end. I mean, we were really didn't know. Nobody knew if it really will come to a hard rain or not. Like now, it would be already very bad, and teams will think about now changing to rain tires, since that track is really special when it's wet, because it's so slippery.
Okay, Marco, just talk us through your overtake on Patrick Kujala around the outside on turn 12. Looked gorgeous.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why I lost it at the start. So I was close to him, and then I thought, out of 11, he had a small slide, so I had a better run out of it, and I thought, now or never. And he closed the inside, and I thought, there's just one chance left. I have to take the outside, and lucky me, it worked out.
Well, let's bring in Norbert if he can get away from his crew.
Yeah.
Norbert Siedler. Norbert, congratulations again, just saying to Marco, perfect weekend. And for you, all you had was clear air. All you had to do was just drive your own race.
Yeah, but it's not so easy. That
It looked easy.
I didn't, but I was pushing a lot because I thought it's maybe raining the last 3-4 laps. So I get a gap, and yeah, it was great. Mechanics did a great job, Marco a great stint, so thank you to everybody.
Well, fantastic drive by both of you. Great to see Ferrari winning in Italy. Look forward to more.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So good stuff there from our race winners, Marco Seefried and Norbert Siedler. Now the brollies are up, and it's actually properly chucking it down, so that'll be interesting for the races later on this afternoon, and interesting for Botti down in the pits as well. That's why I'm just in the commentary box, but a good performance from them, and delight there. Let's hear now from Vincent Abril and Maximilian Buch. 8 points the gap.
Max Buch, great second place, great drive.
Yeah, much more I think than we expected at the beginning. I had a good start. Pretty good first 2 laps, and then when I was behind the Lambo, I just tried to do no mistakes because I knew that he wouldn't score points because he's a guest starter. And so, but when I overtook him, I tried to pull clear to have a bit of a margin for the pit stop, and it went well.
And Vincent, you took over the car from Max, but there's nothing you could do about the Ferrari. It just seemed to have the pace of everybody this weekend.
Absolutely not. There's nothing we could have done. P2, like Maxi said, is perfect. It's what we needed for the championship, so we're very happy with that. And it's also because of a great start from him, from P7 to P4 or P3, so that made half of the race. And then I just had to finish, but there was some raindrops, so it was tough, but it was cool. It was a really good one.
Well, more than raindrops now, so let's get on. Thank you.
He's quite keen to get these interviews out of the way now, isn't he? So great to hear from Abril and Buch in the second place finish, and in third position Mirko Bortolotti and Patrick Kujala after they finished third for the Grasso Racing team and the Lamborghini Huracan. Let's hear from them there with John.
Marco Bortolotti, you just said if this had rained 10 minutes ago, that might have been a different result.
I don't know. I mean, these guys can drive in the wet, so it would have been interesting, that's for sure. I mean, I was pushing like hell. That was absolutely the maximum I could do. Vincent Abril in front of me was really fast as well. He had more or less the same pace. Maybe I was a little bit faster, but it was not enough to catch him and trying to get past him. So I actually was hoping for the rain because it would have made things interesting. But at the end of the day, really happy. 2 podiums. It's a great result for the team, great result for Lamborghini. You know, in the first year with this car, we are really, really happy.
Patrick Kujala, you had a great pass round turn 2. You got into the lead, and then you got mullered by the Ferrari.
Yes, I have to say that the start was good, but then my pace with the used tires, I was struggling with the front, so yeah, I knew that Mirko, when he jumps with the new tire, he will be strong, so a podium is a nice finish.
And next time you'll get the new tires. Many thanks.
Thank you.
So Patrick Kujala there and Mirko Bortolotti. Here's how the championship points stand going into the final round of the season. There's 34 points up for grabs, and there's only 8 points between Robin Freins and Laurens van Thor, Vincent Abril and Maximilian Buch in second place. And then, lurking there in third position, 27 points behind, Marco Seefried and Norbert Siedler. A 3-way title fight at the final round. The big question is, will Laurens van Thor be there? Robin Freins will be, we're pretty sure about that. But if Van Thor can't recover from his hurt foot, then Freins might have a new teammate for his title challenge. Further down you see Ortelli and Raquelme. We've got Craig Dolby and Sean Walkinshaw a bit of 13th in the championship now after their 5th place finish. I think they'll be frustrated with the 5th place, but also satisfied because they gave us all entertainment. What a main race it was here at Misano, the penultimate race of the season. At the start, it was a good effort from Attila Abreu to try and split the 2 front row men. But look at Kujala on the outside at the first corner, just dinks it round the outside into turn number 1 and 2. Really impressive stuff from the Finn, and he took the lead of the race for the Lamborghini Huracan team. This was the view from the back of the Ferrari, and you'll see that the 77 car is up into that 3rd place. A good start as well, you have to say, for Maximilian Buch, 7th on the grid, and he ended up in 4th place. Oh, there was contact between James Nash and Nicky Meyer-Malnoff. That's what sent Nicky Meyer-Malnoff off the circuit and into a spin. Then the battle was on for the lead. The 333 Ferrari made it through on the previous corner, going around the outside of the Lamborghini. And then the Lamborghini was under pressure from Maximilian Buch. Buch getting up the inside and Kujala dropping down to 3rd position. The battles were on further back as Stefan Ortelli tried to make a move, but he ran wide, and that allowed Sean Walkinshaw through and up into 5th position. The pit stop window came and went. The Ferrari emerged in the lead, and then the Lamborghini of Mirko Bortolotti lost a couple of places in the pits and was trying to charge back up the order. Managed to get past Attila Abreu. Valdena Brito it was at the wheel at that point. And then it was Craig Dolby who was on a mission. First man he had to get past was the 0 BMW. He managed that around the outside. Then he tried the same move on the 77 car, and they went absolutely wheel to wheel. It was fantastic stuff, but Dolby couldn't quite keep the car on the road, and that meant Valdena Brito held on to 4th place for the Brazilian BMW crew. But the race victory went the way of Marco Seefried and Norbert Siedler for the Rinaldi team. A clean sweep this weekend, but Buch and Abril across the line in 2nd place, close in at the top of the championship. So now it's time for the podium presentations. Bortolotti there having a little chat to Vincent Abril. And so they're going to be heading out onto the podium in a couple of moments' time. After a frantic race, and they will be heading out onto the podium in a couple of moments whenever it's ready. But look at the rain coming down now. It's absolutely appalling out there, and very soggy John Watson's just returned to the commentary box as well. Weren't expecting that one, were you?
Well, somebody's got to do the long yards, don't they? I mean, it was absolutely tipping down. Weather forecast said 3 o'clock, and it started literally 1 minute before 3, so good accurate weather reporting. But right now, saturated track, totally different conditions, and obviously it could have led to a totally different result.
Absolutely. So they're onto the podium. On the top step, Marco Seefried and Norbert Siedler for the 2nd time this weekend, and only the 2nd time this season. And the cheers from the Rinaldi team. And we're also going to have Silver Cup winners, which is the Fjordback brothers. Anderson Thomas Fjordback winning in Silver Cup which is the championship for young drivers as the rain continues to come down. But good, they've got the Pirelli hats. And Marco Asma and Alexei Vasiliev, the two winners in Pro-Am for the GT Russian team. But the top step of the podium, it's Rinaldi Ferrari who take victory. Marco Seefried and Norbert Siedler on the top step. So a superb weekend here in Misano. It's the top step for Seefried and Siedler, but Buch and Abril haul themselves into title contention. They are just 8 points off the lead of the championship going into the final weekend. It's next weekend. It's at Zandvoort. You better join us because the Blancpain Sprint Series title will be decided. At Zandvoort, which is a circuit that's going to suit the likes of the BMWs, for example. They're very strong there. I'm sure that the Bentley will be as well. And the Audi, of course, always strong at Zandvoort.
Big question about Zandvoort is always two things, wind and sand. And you put wind and sand together, you get wind-blown sand, which goes all over the racetrack and makes it a real nightmare.
Yeah, it's a very tricky one for the engineers, isn't it? It's difficult to get their head around on some occasions. All the trophies being handed out then as the rain continues to pour down here at Misano. We've got away without any wet weather running in competitive sessions. Both free practices were wet, but it has ended up being dry for both of the races, which is fantastic. And there are the Pro-Am title, Pro-Am class winners, I should say, Alexei Vasiliev and Marco Asma. And it's 30,000 euros for Marco Seefried and Norbert Siedler, 20,000 for Maximilian Buch and Vincent Abril, but they'll care more about the Kujala and Bortolotti trying to nick the Pro-Am winners' money. I don't think that's the actual check you get, though. I don't think you can take that to the bank and they'll cash it.
Well, I mean, it's a lovely souvenir to have on the wall of the workshops.
Absolutely.
But the important thing will be the transfer of cash to the respective accounts, and very welcome it is too.
Absolutely. So top step of the podium for Marco Seefried and Norbert Siedler. The champagne comes out here at Misano. They probably won't mind now because they're not going to be getting much damper.
Probably Prosecco.
Yes, exactly. So away they go, and only one thing on Norbert Siedler's mind as he heads around the back of the podium, but it's victory for the Rinaldi Ferrari team here in Misano. Thank you very much for joining us. The final race of the season will be next weekend at Zandvoort. 8 points between Laurens Vanthoor and Robin Freitz at the top of the championship, and Vincent Abril and Maximilian Buch in second position. But will Laurens Vanthoor even be there? We'll have to join us to find out next weekend, the final round of the Blancpain Sprint Series at Zandvoort. Thank you very much for joining us throughout the weekend. Great racing. We'll see you in a week.